Hey, since you have this ability, why didn't you say it earlier in the ruins just now? It made me hold you for so long. Jin and the others began to think about the feasibility after hearing Crook's answer, but it was Crook who complained in a low voice. Crook's blood pressure soared after saying this. Why, you're not happy about letting you hug me, a big beauty. Crook growled fiercely and bared his teeth, regardless of his image. There seemed to be a terrifying evil ghost figure behind him, and was stunned for a while. Twitched the corner of his mouth and said, no, no. Then it's okay, it's cheap and good looking. Withdrawing his indecent expression, Crook said with a displeased expression. Besides, at that time, the situation was short of time. Your speed is so fast, and my speed can't keep up with you at all. Chiya's dry eyes were triggered again, and Luke still opened his mouth to explain why he was in the ruins. He didn't tell Chiya the reason for his ability. Oh. Chiya nodded blankly. Chiya, the old man thinks that the method Crook said is feasible. Can you please cooperate with the experiment? At this time, the pensive Netero raised his head and said to Chiya. Ah, no problem. Chiya looked back, blinked, and did not refuse. Then, Crook, let's start. Seeing that Chiya agreed, Netero looked at Crook and said. Yes, Mr. President. Crook nodded, and then began to materialize the storage box she mentioned. I saw Crook stretching out his hand, and the thoughts in his body were surging, gradually gathering in his palm. Within a second, a small frame was formed, and then quickly materialized, turning into a small antique box the size of a palm. Crook stretched out the small box in front of Chiya and said, okay, put your mind-eliminating power in it. Chiya nodded slightly, and directly used Chi-Nen. A ball of emerald green light appeared in Chiya's hands. Chiya frowned slightly, and then used materialization to materialize this ball of Nen into a small jade. Chiya put this piece of jade in, and the storage was automatically closed. The next moment, emerald green light appeared on the body surface of the storage box, exuding a faint fluorescence. Come and try, who has the Nen that can act on others? Netero looked at the small box in Crook's hand and said with a heavy expression. Let me come. I have the Nen that binds others. Who will be my test subject? Yinda stood up and said in a daze. A mass of purple Nen had already appeared in his hand. Come on, old man. Netero nodded, ready to accept, to be the experimental subject himself, but Potter Bai stood up at this time. Okay. Yinda didn't hesitate, and directly drove the purple cold ability into Potter's body. Potter's whole body trembled suddenly, and then his whole body was like a stone sculpture, motionless. He couldn't even speak, only the eyeballs of his eyes were rolling. Seeing this, Crook directly put the small storage box into Potter's white hand, letting him clenched tightly. The next moment, an emerald green light flashed, covering Potter White, and Potter White trembled again. As if he breathed a sigh of relief, he raised the small storage box in his hand and looked at it. When Yinda's Nen hit him just now, he felt as if his body had been petrified, unable to move, until Crook put the box in his hand, and the green light on the box covered his whole body the moment he was able to move. It seems possible. Potter Bai gave the answer lightly. However, at this moment, the emerald green light on the surface of the storage box went out directly. The whole box became antique again. Before Netero and the others were happy, they were stunned, and then they all looked at Chiya, wanting to get an answer from Chiya. Look at me, you ask Yinda. His restraint ability is very strong, and the exorcism I allocated just now was consumed in an instant. Seeing everyone's eyes on him, Chiya shrugged his shoulders, saying that it was none of my business, and I will not take the blame. As soon as these words came out, Netero and the others frowned slightly, and then began to ponder again. Seeing this, Crook looked at Chiya speechlessly. He knew that Chiya's mind energy was very powerful, and it was no problem to deal with Nen, the guardian god of the ruins. Chiya, what's your limit? Netero pondered for a moment, then raised his head and asked Chiya. Why? Chiya didn't answer, but asked with some vigilance. Do you want to accept the task? Netero was silent for a while, then grinned. He figured it out. This guy Chiya is the one who doesn't see the rabbit and doesn't throw the eagle. If there is no benefit, he will not shoot casually. Sure enough, as soon as these words came out, Chiya's vigilance disappeared all of a sudden, and she stroked her chin and began to think carefully. The people present were speechless when they saw this scene. Jin laughed out loud, while Crook covered his forehead helplessly, not wanting to see Chiya's face. Yin Da and Potter Bai stared at Chiya curiously, wanting to see what kind of person Chiya was. 5 billion nuns, I will give you 4 Nen that can resist that monster for 1 hour. Chiya completely ignored everyone's reactions, and after thinking for a moment, he gave a reply. 1 hour? That's enough. Then, I'm going to release the task. Netero pondered for a moment, then said. Pick up the phone and start to operate with ease. The faces of the people present were strange. Potter said the terrorist hunter frowned as he watched Netero post missions on the Zoldyck family's dark web. Received. Don't worry, I will be ready before tonight. After receiving the task from the website, Chi-Ya promised with a smile. Then the president, what about mine? In order to complete your order, I hired this kid after spending 20 billion rings, Crook interjected. You have not. Crook, small, damn old man. Why don't you reimburse me? In the corridor, Crook and Chi-Ya walked side by side. Crook was gnashing his teeth, his eyes were fierce, as if he wanted to eat people. Chi-Ya at the side was secretly happy to see Crook like this. The old guy Netero is really an old fritter, no matter what Crook says, he just won't reimburse him. He also said that as a member of the 12 earthly branches of the Hunter Association, this kind of thing is what she should do. It was dismissed in one sentence, and Crook couldn't refute at all. Because the existence of the 12 earthly branches is to manage the association on behalf of Netero when something happens. Netero is right. Boy, why don't you return the 20 billion ring nuns to me, and you can ask the old man for it. Suddenly, Crook thought of something, turned his head, and said to Chi-Ya. What the hell are you thinking about farting? Chi-Ya didn't speak, but just stared at Crook expressionlessly, and said silently in his heart. Being stared at by Chi-Ya, Crook also realized that he was very embarrassed, knowing that his request was too outrageous. I was so angry that I said such inappropriate words, old man. However, why are you coming out with me? Crook said with some doubts when the topic changed. It's the same as you. My room is in such a mess. I might as well give it to Jin and his 4 elders. I'll go to the front desk and change another room. Chi-Ya shrugged and said. When I teleported back just now, because the distance was too far, and there were too many people teleporting, I fell directly from the mid-air of the room, the bed was almost crushed, and the room became a mess. Chi-Ya simply thought about leaving that room to Netero and the others, and opened another room by herself. Cut. That's how it is. Crook heard the words, cut a sound, and nodded in response. Besides, it also needs your help to make the mind-eliminating props for Jin and the others. Chi-Ya didn't care about Crook's anger at this time, smiled slightly, and said again. Except that Nen is different from the orthodox Nen. Once it is too far or too long away from Chi-Ya, the Nen, it will disappear. It's the same even if Chi-Ya can materialize it. Of course, this is the limitation of Chi-Ya's ability to eliminate Nen. Maybe other people's ability to eliminate Nen can reach it. And Crook's storage box can ignore any bad influences, and perfectly preserve except Nen. This is the most critical. If except Nen wasn't so special, Chi-Ya could do it by herself. Just use the realized Nen directly to hand over the ready-made props or items except Nen to the 4 of them. However, Nen is like this, with all kinds of strange things, capable of displaying unstoppable power, but also has all kinds of strange restrictions. That's right, let's go, hurry up and open the room, and then the 2 of us will make the anti-mind props as soon as possible. Speaking of this, Crook's expression became serious and serious. The monster patron saint in the Cocoa Ruins will come out at any time, and the sooner this thing that can ensure that the president and the others can fight against that monster normally, the better. Well, let's go. Chi-Ya nodded and agreed. Soon, the 2 opened a room at the front desk. Chi-Ya and Crook came to Crook's room, and began to work together to create the props for dispelling orders. To say it is a joint effort, it is better to say that Chi-Ya is using Nen throughout the whole process. Crook just made 4 small storage boxes, and waited for Chi-Ya to make enough Einen and put them into the small storage boxes. Time passed slowly, and more than 2 hours passed in the blink of an eye. At this time, Chi-Ya's immature face was covered with sweat, and her complexion was extremely pale. Crook on the side looked a little distressed. Regardless of Chi-Ya's behavioral strength, Chi-Ya looks like a young boy now. At this age, that immature face is pale and weak. This situation is enough to make any woman's motherhood overflow. Even Crook, the proud plant hunter, is no exception. Let's take a break first, Chi-Ya, it doesn't need to be made in one go, Crook said worriedly. Although Chi-Ya said it was very easy before, it does not mean that the real situation is easy. The spirit Nen of the guardian spirit of that monster is very powerful, and to create an hour-long extermination Nen that resists its spirit Nen requires a huge amount of mental energy. A 1-hour mind removal tool consumes about 40,000 mind energy. 4 is 160,000, which can almost empty Chi-Ya's current potential capacity. 2 hours of uninterrupted output of large volume Nian Qi directly consumed more than 6 layers of Nian Qi in Chi-Ya's body, and the consumption of Nian Qi was far behind the recovery. That's not to mention, the recovery of Nian Qi also consumes Chi-Ya's body. using Nian Qi continuously for 2 hours. The body's continuous recovery of Nian Qi is also a heavy burden on Qi Ya's body. This also directly caused Qi Ya's face to turn pale. Because, without Qi Ya, the body cannot be supplemented. Hearing Crook's words, Qi Ya also stopped the action of making mind-eliminating props in a timely manner. Crook, help me order some dinner, Qi Ya said weakly. It has been called, and it will be here in a while, Crook replied. Soon, the hotel service staff arrived at Crook's room pushing several dining cars. The dinner was set up quickly, and as soon as the service staff left, Qi Ya began to gobble it up. In less than 20 minutes, 5 dinners were wiped out by Qi Ya alone. Satisfied, Qi Ya patted the unchanged belly of and slapped his belly hard. This kind of thing is really not done by human beings. I feel that I have lost money. Sitting on the floor, Qi Ya propped his hands back on the floor, looking at the 3 fluorescent storage boxes on the counter, slightly sighed. After receiving supplementation, her complexion also became slightly rosy. 50 billion monies are still a loss, boy, you really fell into the eyes of money. Crook heard this, the corner of his mouth twitched, feeling speechless at Qi Ya's words. However, at the next moment, Crook thought of something, his eyes lit up, and then he squatted down mysteriously. Hey, boy, why don't you go ask the old man for an extra 20 billion, and each of us will have half of the 20 billion, Crook said in a low voice. Qi Ya. Turn your elbows outward. After resting for an hour and recovering 2 layers of Nian Qi, Qi Ya started working again. This time it was finished very quickly. Because it was just to create a relationship, Qi Ya was not as exhausted as before. It's done. Putting down the box in his hand, Qi Ya exhaled softly. Afterwards, Qi Ya couldn't wait to take out her mobile phone, ready to complete the task. Are you really not going to accept my suggestion? Otherwise, I only need 5 billion. Crook looked at Qi Ya's actions and said again unwillingly. Qi Ya glanced at her with a slightly strange expression. This arm is a bit serious. Being watched by Qi Ya, Crook's face remained unchanged. Now she just wants to cheat Netero and make up for her loss by the way. Do you think Netero's old fritters will be fooled? Qi Ya shrugged, said, and then clicked to complete the task neatly. Not long after Qi Ya completed the task, Netero called. Qi Ya, have you finished? Ah, I finished, I will send it later, Qi Ya replied. Okay, but send it directly outside the ruins, we're coming here, Netero reminded on the phone. After speaking, Netero hung up the phone. I'll go, you old boy, you rushed over so quickly, Qi Ya said in surprise. After all, he is the president of the Hunter Association. The Hunter Association has the responsibility to deal with these natural hazards. As the president, it is natural to take the lead. Crook was not surprised at all. Okay, I see, then I'll go over now. Well, let's go, I'll go with you. Crook stood up and said. Are you going too? Although the strength is not strong, I am also one of the 12 earthly branches of the association. Since I am here, I can't stay out of it. Crook frowned, dissatisfied with Qi Ya's opinion of him. It's up to you, but I don't think you seem to be able to play a role in the past. Crook. My old lady doesn't send cats, you think I am critically ill. Ah bah, if I don't show off my power, you will treat me as a sick cat. Crook looked at Qi Ya with extreme displeasure. As a 12 earthly branch, she was underestimated by Qi Ya to such an extent. Just wait and see. Crook didn't say much, just dropped this sentence. Regarding this, Qi Ya didn't say anything either. He was just joking just now, and Crook, who is a member of the 12 earthly branches, naturally cannot be weak. The two set off directly, rushing in the direction of Kekeli. In less than an hour, the two arrived at the periphery of the Kekeli ruins. At this point, the place has changed drastically. It was completely gone, replaced by a billowing magma sea, the whole. Outside the plain is a rocky basin, and the magma has already crossed the plain and initially spread into this basin. However, because of the relationship of the basin, the speed of spreading is extremely slow. Qi Ya and Crook who arrived here soon discovered Netero and others. At this time, Netero and the others were standing on a natural stone pillar, quietly observing the movement ahead. As for the Taika army and the hunters staying here, they have already evacuated at this time. Qi Ya and Crook had already met them on the way here. Both military and professional hunters have received orders from Netero to retreat. As the president of the Hunter Association, Netero has quite a lot of power. Although he can't command those big countries, it is more than enough for a small country like Tech. Here you are. The Denyen box was made so soon. Netero was using his unique telescopic ability to observe the situation of the Relic Canyon. After feeling the breath of Chi-Ya and Crook, he turned his head. Let's talk. Yeah. The two nodded. Crook took a step forward, and handed one of the small boxes of mind removing to Netero, and then jumped a few times, sending the others to Jin, Yinda and Potter by respectively. What's the situation now? The monster inside hasn't moved. Chi-Ya squatted down, put his hands on his knees, looked at the relic canyon in front of him, and asked curiously. The evening wind blew past slowly, stirring up Chi-Ya's silver hair. That monster didn't move, but the magma monster in the volcano group rioted several times. You have also seen the consequences of the eruption. This plane has been fully invaded, and magma has spread here. Netero replied lightly, stroking his beard. Hearing this, Chi-Ya was not surprised. Looking at the entrance of the relic canyon in the distance, his eyes narrowed slightly, and there was an occasional cold light in the narrowed eyes. What, kid? Do you want to do it too? Jin K at the side noticed Chi-Ya's situation and asked amusedly. I have this idea. Chi-Ya said without hiding anything when she heard the words. I'm a little curious about the lava titan you are talking about. Hey, do you know how strong that lava titan is? Chi-Ya turned to several people and asked. The lava hearts left after the abandoned suns were destroyed are rare treasures. I don't know what will be obtained by killing the lava titan's main body. Chi-Ya is very interested in this. Weaker than me, probably about the same as you. If you make a move, the outcome is uncertain. Jin squeezed his chin, pondered for a few seconds, and then gave an ambiguous answer. Ho ho, boy, if you are willing to make a move, I can continue to issue tasks for you. How about it, 20 billion nuns? Seeing Chi-Ya's interested look, Netero smiled and said. If Chi-Ya can also take action to deal with it together, then things should be much easier. Although he has never seen Chi-Ya's strength, but from Chi-Ya's incomparably tough, steel-like spirit, Netero can confirm that Chi-Ya's strength is very strong. Let me think about it. Chi-Ya still squinted her eyes and didn't answer directly. A creature from the Dark Continent. I didn't expect that I would come into contact with it so early. It's really an impermanent world. With her eyes squinted and blown by the night wind, Chi-Ya's heart was peaceful, without any waves. Originally, Chi-Ya thought that she would be excited and jump for joy. Knowing the existence of chimeric ants, I have a deep understanding of the existence of creatures on the Dark Continent, which can be compared with the senior hunters in this world. It is a super version of the world where natural selection and survival of the fittest. And the creatures coming from there have a very special meaning to any hunter who understands the Dark Continent. Although Chi-Ya is not a hunter with this kind of existence, everything he knew in his previous life made Chi-Ya feel the same about the existence of chimera ants and the creatures of the Dark Continent as hunters who pursue the unknown. The enthusiasm for the existence of creatures in the Dark Continent is not weaker than that of the hunters. Now, having such an opportunity to face the creatures from the Dark Continent, Chi-Ya originally thought that there would be a drastic change in her heart. However, it was incredible that his heart would be so peaceful. Is it because I'm not God's perspective now, but the reason for the real participation? If I, who is God's vision, discover the creatures of the Dark Continent, then I may be excited, cheering, and unable to control myself. However, when they really encountered each other, there was a world of difference. If I really participate, then under the threat of these terrifying creatures from the Dark Continent, it will represent a crisis that I may fall at any time. That's why my heart is so peaceful. Because, I have to be calm. This is not the animation of my previous life, but reality. Even though I am interested in dark creatures, the threat of life forces me not to have this kind of excitement that I shouldn't have. Because there is only one life. I have to be careful. Chi-Ya slowly opened his eyes and whispered. How about it? How do you think about it? The moment Chi-Ya opened his eyes, Jin's voice came from the side. My suggestion is that you agree to the old man's proposal, because there are not many opportunities to fight against dark creatures. Chi-Ya backquote. Let me hear your plan first. If the plan is feasible, I can make a move. Chi-Ya glanced at him, then looked at Netero and Yinda Potter and said indifferently. It seems that you already have the answer, so let me tell you the plan I made. Netero smiled relaxedly, and then began to talk about the plan made by himself and Jin. After hearing Netero's plan, Chi-Ya couldn't help but twitch his lips. Because, he always felt that this plan was very familiar. After thinking carefully for a while, Chi-Ya finally knew why he felt familiar. What the hell? Separate the lava titan and the ruins, guardian god. Fighting on both sides, isn't this the plan you used to deal with ants when you were chimera ants? In the chimera ant chapter, you old man just let your apprentices and grandsons and gone wait for the opportunity to distract the guards, and then go straight to Wanglong. This time, the candidate has been changed, and you let Yinda, a simple man, attract monsters, and you are no longer fighting alone. Are you sure? Chi-Ya frowned slightly, confirming to Yinda. Don't worry. I will definitely be able to lure that monster over, and then I will tear that monster into pieces. Yinda's expression was no longer simple and honest, but extremely fierce. Obviously, he has been brooding about the fact that the guardian god of the ruins deceived himself and blocked himself and others. Yinda is a typical honest person. If you don't mess with him, he will communicate with you in a friendly, even friendly way. But once you mess with him, sorry, the anger of an honest person will burn you up. Not to mention, still cheating. At that time, the old man, Potterby and Jin will deal with that monster, and you, Yinda and Crook will deal with the one in the volcano. Netero said with a serious expression. Before, there were only Yinda and Crook, and the old man was still a little worried, but if you were added, the old man's confidence in this round of siege would greatly increase. The old man and the others assure you that they will definitely wipe out that monster. I also hope that the three of you one can turn that monster in the volcano into ashes. Potterby also spoke, staring at Chi-Ya solemnly, and said seriously. In the words, he expressed his trust in Chi-Ya, as if he regarded Chi-Ya as his own. Don't treat me with this attitude. I'm a killer. I'm not on the same side with you. I only act according to the task. Chi-Ya pouted speechlessly. Despite Chi-Ya's attitude, the attitude of several people towards Chi-Ya has not changed. From when Chi-Ya went deep into the ruins to face the monster and rescued them, they were enough to regard Chi-Ya as one of their own. Old man, how much is the remuneration? Chi-Ya looked at Netero and asked. Netero's eyes lit up immediately, and then asked back, how much reward do you want? 5 billion. Chi-Ya narrowed his eyes slightly, and then gave the price. Deal. Netero agreed directly. The corners of Crook's eyes twitched while watching, envious. At her peak, she was worth more than 40 billion yuan, and now she is only worth more than 20 billion yuan. This old guy is fine, he doesn't feel bad about spending money like running water. After coming here, more than 100 billion has been spent. Also, that bastard Jin was also spending 200 billion in Pingyuan before. Ruins hunter so rich. It's up to me whether I want to change my career to relic hunter or not. Crook was a little envious and jealous to the point of madness, and even began to think about whether he wanted to change his job to relic hunter, because the development of the relic was forgotten. No, this kid has even more wealth. He has earned hundreds of billions in just 2 days. I have to find a chance to get some from him. Chi-Ya didn't know what Crook was thinking at all. At this moment, after Chi-Ya heard Netero being so straightforward, he was thinking whether his asking price was too little. Judging by the old guy's ability to spread money, this guy's worth is estimated to be high. Will be worse than gold. Haha, boy, you really have a soft spot for money. Jin laughed loudly. Chi-Ya gave him a blank stare. You eat enough for one person, and the whole family is not hungry, and you don't know that wealth is expensive. I'm going to inherit Zoldyck in the future. Money is needed in every aspect. If you don't earn money, you're a bastard. When Netero heard this, he stroked his beard and laughed, and Jin also shook his head with a smile. Even Hunter, a scrupulous terrorist like Potterby, had a slight smile on his face when he heard it. The kid's character doesn't seem too bad to be Zoldyck's future boss. By the way, old man Netero, since the three of you are going to deal with that monster, why do you need 4 anti-mine props? Chi-Ya suddenly thought of something and asked curiously. Well, there must be a backup, as a contingency. If we can't eliminate that monster within the limited time, then the remaining one will come in handy. Netero smiled and replied. Hearing this, Chi-Ya frowned and understood. The extra one is the backhand who evacuated and ran away if he couldn't beat it. Hey, Crook, tell me, can Yinda really attract the monsters from the volcano? On the rock pillar, Chi-Ya crossed his arms and leaned against the rock wall, asking softly to Crook beside him. At this time, only Chi-Ya and Crook were left in the rocky basin. As for Netero and Jin, the 4 have already entered the ruins at this time. It should be possible. As a poaching hunter, Yinda naturally has his own abilities. His ability has the effect of confusing, and he should be able to attract that monster. Crook nodded, trusting Yinda very much. How do you know? Chi-Ya looked at Crook strangely. Of course he said it himself. As a poaching hunter, Yinda often enters various secret places and protected areas to catch those poachers. At the same time, in order to send back those poached animals, he specially cultivated this kind of ability keeps animals and eudemons from being restless, rioting, and returning to their original places safely. And the ability to restrain them before is also cultivated because of professional needs. The 12 earthly branches of Yinda, including the president, know about Yinda's ability, so the president made this plan. Because president is also very confident in Yinda's ability, and believes that Yinda will not disappoint his expectations, Crook replied lightly. So that's how it is. It really fits his professional ability. Chi-ya nodded with emotion. Many hunters practice abilities that are closely related to their hunter profession when they practice nen. Yinda and I are obvious chestnuts. You. Then what is your ability? Chi-ya asked curiously after hearing the words. I saw Crook use nen in the ruins, guardian god, before, but it was just a simple attack with Nien Chi. I haven't seen the ability of Crook's own cultivation. You'll find out later. Crook glanced at Chi-ya and said perfunctorily. Looks like that. The three of us won't be able to cooperate later, we can only fight on our own. Chi-ya shrugged and said. Without knowing their respective abilities, it is impossible to cooperate in battle. However, Chi-ya is not surprised, maybe it would be better not to cooperate. As long as their combat experience is rich enough, it doesn't matter if they don't know their nen. By the way, Crook, you also have a way to run on the magma. Chi-ya suddenly thought of something, looked at Crook with strange eyes and said. He saw with his own eyes just now that the four of them showed their abilities one by one, running freely in the magma without any harm. Well, yes, but it takes a lot of thought energy. Crook was slightly taken aback, and then replied. If you have the ability, let me run with you in my arms. After getting the answer, Chi-ya suddenly became upset, and the corners of her mouth twitched slightly. This guy has the ability to walk on his own and let himself run with her. I've said it all, it's very exhausting, it's okay for a short time, but I can't do it for a long time. Crook saw Chi-ya's expressionless facial paralysis, he was right, and explained directly. Then how can Jin and the others? Chi-ya asked back. You compare me to those monsters? Crook was speechless for a moment. That is to say, you can't compare with them. Chi-ya felt relieved. Although I'm very unwilling, I really can't compare with them. In terms of energy, even Yinda is better than me. Crook nodded slightly, and said, with an unhappy expression. Although they belong to the same 12 earthly branches, she really can't compare with these monsters in terms of strong thoughts. The battery life is too weak. Chi-ya nodded, expressing her understanding. It's you, boy. Why is the Nien Chi in your body so terrifying at such a young age? When she and Chi-ya were making the Nien Chi box together, she witnessed Chi-ya's terrifying latent energy and powerful manifesting energy with her own eyes. She can't compare with Chi-ya at all. I don't know about the displayed strength, but in terms of potential strength, she is far inferior to Chi-ya. Chi-ya's potential capacity is estimated to be comparable to that of Yinda. Secret. Chi-ya said with a slight smile. Crook wasn't angry either, and she just asked casually. Naturally, this kind of thing can't be easily answered. After all, he and Chi-ya are not close, and he realizes that it is only a little over 2 days now. It's a ghost that Chi-ya can answer this question to himself. Your potential energy is not very strong, because your physique is relatively weak. Chi-ya looked at Crook carefully, and then said. I can't help it, I'm a girl, and the Nen system is not an enhancer. Crook also knows her own shortcomings, and she has nothing to do about it. I'll give you something nice, it's a gift from our acquaintance. Chi-ya continued to look at Crook a few times, and said when he saw that Crook was about to lose his temper. So good. What is it? Crook, who was stared at by Chi-ya and was about to throw a temper tantrum, immediately frowned and said in disbelief. Well, it's your reward for hiring me and making me a fortune. Chi-ya said with a smile. Then he directly took a few drops of Millennium Stone milk from the system space, put it in a small bottle, and then threw it over. Seeing a small bottle flying over, Crook hastily reached out to take it. This is Millennium Stone milk, taking it and exercising can quickly strengthen a person's physique. For a person with a weak constitution like you, it is a rare treasure, Chi-ya said lightly. It's a special reward for the mission. Can this enhance your physique? Crook looked at the bottle in his hand and murmured in a low voice. Immediately, she looked at Chi-ya and said suspiciously, You just take this, that's why you have such a powerful force in your urine. Physical? No, I did this by myself. Chi-ya shook his head, and Goldfinger gave it. Crook heard the words, but did not continue to ask, looked at the bottle in his hand, and put it away. Here we come. At this moment, Chi-ya said suddenly. When Crook heard the words, his whole body shivered immediately, and he looked over. I saw a titan burning with raging flames rushing towards them quickly. In front of him, Yinda's burly figure was jumping at an extremely fast speed. The huge body was rampaging, and the ground shook violently, just like a large army pressing down on the ground. The flames surged and swept in all directions. The lava titan attracted by Yinda is completely different from the previous ones. Just because the body has become more than 20 meters high, it is almost a real titan. The whole body is also burning with flames that are enough to distort the air. Every time the huge lava titan attacks, it will set off a huge flame field, and the scorching heat wave will continue to spread, causing the surrounding temperature to rise continuously. Under the sweep of this heat wave, the plane that had become peaceful because the magma has calmed down once again huge movement. The scorching heat wave swept across, the entire plane was fiery red, the air was sticky and heavy, everything in Chiya's and others' field of vision began to distort under the sweep of this heat wave, which shows how high the temperature of the entire plane is at this time. An ordinary person or even a warrior stepping into this kind of place would probably be burned, go into shock or even die under the sweeping heat wave in less than a second. Even Chiya and others, swept by this heat wave, gradually began to sweat at this time. And Yinda, who brought the lava titan over, was already sweating profusely, his shaggy hair was already soaked in sweat, and his big thick mouth was pale and shriveled. It was a sign of serious dehydration. Too bad. Yinda won't be able to last long if this goes on. Crook's expression turned pale when he saw this scene, and while his thoughts were surging, the pair of decorative wings behind him turned into a pair of clean white wings. Crook slapped hard, and the whole person turned into an afterimage and shot out in an instant. After that, a muffled sound came out, and a sonic boom exploded in midair. Seeing this, Chiya narrowed his eyes slightly. It's very explosive. Crook's speed is not fast, but her explosive power is enough to compare with Chiya. Compared with Chiya's speed, it just lacks that flexibility. I saw that Crook, who was shot out, suddenly appeared in front of the lava titan, and a 2-meter-long green whip appeared in his hand, emitting a faint green fluorescence. Facing the lava, the titan drew over. The moment it was pulled out, the long green whip quickly rose against the wind, and in just 2 seconds, it turned into a huge vine about 2 meters thick and 10 meters long. In a blink of an eye, the lava titan was bound up. The footsteps of the lava titan stopped suddenly, and the boiling water struggled. Yinda, take this opportunity, hurry up to Chiya's side, I have prepared a lot of water there, you go and replenish it. Crook used his thoughts to restrain the lava titan, and at the same time, he was facing Yinda shouted. Seeing this, Yinda didn't hesitate, and his 300 Jin fat man nimbly charged towards Chiya. Seeing Yinda rushing over, Chiya shook his head slightly, and threw out several buckets of water that Crook had prepared long ago. Seeing this, Yinda hurriedly reached out to catch it, then directly tore open the package, and started shopping. At the same moment, a blue electric light flashed away from Yinda's side. Chiya also joined the battle at this moment. However, before joining the battle, he took out a few drops of 1,000-year-old stone milk and swallowed them. Millennium stone milk, exercise after swallowing, can strengthen your body. In addition, the effect of fierce fighting after swallowing the Millennium stone milk will be better, more than twice the effect of exercising the body. Crook, swallow the one I gave you earlier. Chiya, who dodged into the battlefield, struck the bound lava titan with a lightning strike, and then shouted at Crook. Crook was taken aback when he heard this, and without hesitation, he directly took out the small bottle that Chiya gave him before, and drank the 1,000-year stone milk in it. The next moment, Crook felt a powerful power zone emerge in his body. This energy is completely different from the essence of Nian Qi, and Crook doesn't know what kind of power it is. All he knew was that this power was slowly merging with his body, and with the first power merging, Crook clearly knew that his body had become a little stronger. Crook's eyes lit up immediately, and he was overjoyed. Immediately afterwards, Chiya's voice came again. Taking Millennium Stone Milk to fight will speed up the body's refining of Millennium Stone Milk. Crook, don't miss this opportunity. Understood. Thank you, I owe you a favor, Chiya. Crook looked extremely excited, and promised to Chiya. She could feel that as she used her mind energy, the huge energy in her body was gradually merging with her body, making her physique stronger. As long as this huge amount of energy is refined, one's physique will be at least doubled. Crook is extremely grateful to Chiya now. What she lacks the most is the potential energy. If her physique is doubled, the potential energy in her body will increase by at least 10,000. The next moment, a big battle broke out directly. Crook looked extraordinarily crazy, and there were bursts of crackling sounds as the long whip in his hand was waving, as if the air had been ripped apart. Chiya could see the corners of his mouth twitching, and he called a tigress in his heart. Every time the long whip in Crook's hand is swung, it will turn into a huge vine, and at the same time, it will also flash with different lights. Each light represents a special ability. The previous green light represented restraint, and it was precisely because of this energy that Crook was able to restrain the huge and terrifying lava titan as a weakling. But this time, the vine that Crook swung in his hand was another color, black. With a frightening pumping sound, it slammed down on the lava titan. However, this time, Crook's attack was unable to hit. Lava Titan's huge body displayed a flexible posture that didn't match its body at all, quickly dodged Crook's blow, and appeared behind him, attacking him. As soon as the scorching heat wave appeared behind Crook, a little bit of white smoke appeared from the pair of wings on Crook's back that supported Crook's flight. The wings behind Crook are specially made, with Crook's Nyanki defense. But even so, it still couldn't resist the terrifying high temperature on the lava titan, as if it would burn at any time. Don't even think about succeeding. Facing the extreme speed of the lava titan, Crook didn't panic at all. His soft body turned around at the inconceivable speed, the long legs held by the dancer directly it just hit the lava titan with one kick. A huge muffled sound came out, and the powerful force contained in Crook's kick directly kicked the lava titan back 4 or 5 meters. There were heavy thunderous sounds on the ground under the trampling of the lava titan. Seeing this scene, Chi Ya's face twitched again. This guy can't tell at all that such a frail body has such terrifying strength. Don't mess with it, don't mess with it. Immediately, Chi Ya didn't just stare blankly. The lightning in his hand crashed down on the retreating lava titan. After kicking the lava titan away with one kick, Crook frowned slightly, and a trace of pain flashed across his brow. After kicking the lava titan just now, she felt a heart-piercing pain from the soles of her feet. That is the pain that occurs when you are scalded by severe heat. Her Nian Qi couldn't defend against the terrifying high temperature on the lava titan at all. At this moment, the foot that kicked the lava titan was extremely red. It seems that it's not good for me to be head-on. Crook came to a conclusion silently. Her mental energy was not enough to support her to fight head-on with the lava titan in front of her. However, as soon as he came to a conclusion, Crook felt a change in his body. The heart-piercing pain disappeared quickly, and the red burns on the soles of the feet also disappeared completely. Crook could feel that the energy in his body merged with his body once again from. My physique has also strengthened again. Injury can make my body speed up the speed of digesting these energies. Crook murmured in a low voice, but immediately, her face became weird. Is this trying to make me a masochist? Crook, I'm not a masochist. Crook's eyelids twitched slightly, and then the long whip in his hand swung out again. However, as soon as he swung it out, the long whip in Crook's hand was destroyed by a terrifying force, and his whole body was also thrown away. Roar. A roar came out, and the lava titan roared angrily, and the violent sound waves with flames turned into a terrifying flame impact and spread to the surroundings. Not only did it destroy Crook's attack and the weapon that he realized, but he also completely destroyed the rock pillars within a radius of 100 meters around him. Yinda, who was drinking water, was also affected by this terrifying shock. Unable to guard against it, his whole body was directly thrown out. The few buckets of water that survived were also destroyed because of this. They fell from the sky and fell on the magma and were quickly melted, not even having time to turn into gas. It happened. Seeing this scene, Crook was shocked. This is her equipment for emergency use, because she is afraid that the situation that Yinda just had happened to herself and others. Unexpectedly, it was destroyed at the beginning. Fighting with this kind of monsters, the water consumption on their bodies will be very intense, and it is easy to cause accidents. Once the body's water is insufficient, let alone fighting, it will be difficult to keep yourself from passing out. Chi Ya also frowned at this time. As for the high temperature on the lava titan, Chi Ya was not affected at all, because he has a very strong resistance to fire attributes. Although the temperature on the lava titan was terrifying, it didn't have much impact on him. Just some sweat. And, as time went on, he could feel himself getting used to the temperature. Perhaps in a few minutes, he will not be affected at all. This is his passive ability of fire attribute resistance. Ability to quickly adapt to negative effects associated with fire. However, although the high temperature had no effect on Chi Ya, the roar of this guy made Chi Ya's eardrums very unbearable. There was a hint of pain on his face. Nima, the voices of those tigresses are not as loud or sharp as yours. The next moment, Chi Ya's figure turned into a bolt of lightning and appeared above the head of the lava titan. The immature fist is wrapped with a faint blue thunder and lightning, the strongest enhancer that shows aura. The air is seriously distorted, and it is a direct blow with all its strength. Call me a hammer, don't you know it's disturbing the people? Boom. With the straight fist of the enhancer and the thunder of the conjurer, Chi Ya's full-blown punch landed heavily on the forehead of the lava titan. An earth-shattering vibration spread throughout the entire rocky basin, and the entire rocky basin shook. A huge deep pit appeared on the ground, and a series of cracks extended from the center, as if it would burst open in the next moment. The lava titan is lying in the center of the crack in the deep pit at this time, motionless, and the flames on his body are also extremely weak. The magma slowly flows in from the outside, covering the lava titan. Shua. Chi Ya's figure appeared on the edge of the deep pit, with his hands in his pockets, quietly looking at the lava titan in the deep pit. At this time, The lava titan is not only silent, but its body made of lava is densely covered with cracks, just like a fragile porcelain doll. Crook also flew down from midair, floating beside Chi-Ya. What a terrifying power, Chi-Ya. You really are a monster, right? You've been hiding your clumsiness before. How high is the upper limit of your strength for an attack of this level? Crook looked at the motionless lava titan in the pit, then looked at Chi-Ya, and said with his eyelids twitching. She knew that Chi-Ya's potential strength was terrifying, but she didn't think much about it. She thought that the strength that Chi-Ya could display was at most similar to her own, except that she could cultivate more abilities and cover a wider range of subjects. However, I didn't expect Chi-Ya's attack to be so terrifying. His full blow just now only made the monster take a few steps back. This guy Chi-Ya actually smashed the lava titan with one blow, and seemed to be seriously injured, making the lava titan unable to move until now. It is more than twice as powerful as the enhancer mind dragon that was used on that monster, guardian god, before. In other words, this kid Chi-Ya has been hiding his clumsiness. As soon as Crook's words fell, Yinda stepped on the lava and came to the two of them. You've actually made it to this point, Chi-Ya, you're really amazing. As soon as he came here, Yinchi was shocked by the tragic state of the lava titan. Don't look at it. Although the injury looks serious, the breath on this guy's body has not weakened much. Don't give it a chance to recover. Chi-Ya ignored the shock of the two and said lightly. Afterwards, the lightning all over his body bloomed again. The endless lightning was gathered in the palm of Chi-Ya's hand, and a 5-meter-sized plasma ball was rapidly formed. When Crook saw this, he didn't speak, but silently waved the long whip in his hand, and the thick darkness condensed in the long whip. So did Yinda. He knew that Jian's actions were correct. At this time, you should beat the dog in the water and annihilate it in one fell swoop, instead of giving the enemy a chance to recover. With thoughts surging all over his body, a huge rope net appeared in Yinda's hands, and a special kind of thoughts was faintly visible in the rope net. The next moment, the three of them coincidentally, and with a tacit understanding, blasted out the attack in their hands. Boom. A violent explosion sounded, and the terrifying attack directly cracked and collapsed the earth. The three of Chi-Ya jumped up and withdrew to the back. Did it succeed? Crook stopped on a broken stone pillar, raised his toes, and frowned slightly. No, the temperature around you has become higher, be careful. Chi-Ya retorted immediately. Because, Chi-Ya discovered that the temperature in the place where they are now is rapidly heating up. The air distortion became more and more serious, and the field of vision was almost impossible to see clearly. Indeed, as expected of a creature from the Dark Continent, it didn't fall under the simultaneous attack of the three of us. Crook also noticed the temperature change in the surrounding environment, and couldn't help wiping off his sweat, dissatisfied. Be careful, my hunting net has been destroyed. At this moment, Yinda said suddenly. As soon as the words were blurted out, the three of them felt a violent vibration under their feet. A flame flashed from the crack in the rock under the feet of Yinda and Crook. The pupils of the two shrank suddenly, and then they quickly left their original positions. The moment the two of them left in a flash, the feet of the three people in the two sky-reaching fire pillars shot up into the sky, instantly melting the broken rock pillars into magma. Seeing this scene, Yinda and Crook, who escaped unharmed, felt palpitations in their hearts. If they hadn't discovered the flames under feet in time just now, they would definitely be seriously injured now. In an instant, the rock pillars that had been tempered by thousands of years were melted into magma. They couldn't resist this terrifying flame. If you are attacked, even if you don't die, you will definitely lose several layers of skin and be seriously injured. On the contrary, Chi-Ya didn't feel any palpitations at all. In the eyes of Crook and others, the terrifying attack was just like that in the eyes of Chi-Ya. For Chi-Ya with advanced fire resistance attribute, this is not a problem at all. At most it will burn Chi-Ya's clothes and burn Chi-Ya's skin. It is impossible to cause powerful damage to Chi-Ya's body. Before the two of them settled down, a fiery red color appeared in the gunpowder smoke. Huge pieces of lava that were burning with flames shot out from the gunpowder smoke, densely packed, attacking in the direction of the two of them. Seeing this scene, Yinda and Crook moved their eyes slightly. Yinda stood up directly, and a giant net emitting blue light appeared in front of Yinda. Yinda held the tail of the giant net with one hand and directly facing the attacking lava net, he passed. In an instant, the ferocious lava stopped under the obstruction of the giant net, and was bound in the giant net. In the eyes of Chi-Ya and Crook, the giant blue net continuously emits cold air, covering the high-temperature lava, as if to freeze the lava. However, it is impossible to do it with these cold air alone. The temperature of the lava is really too high, and the giant ice net displayed by Yinda can't shake the lava and lower the temperature of the lava. Not only that, These high-temperature lavas turned against the guests, and began to burn the huge net that Yinda realized. In just 1 second, the giant net in Yinda's hand, the cold air disappeared under the high temperature, and, this thing when melted the blue grid at an extremely fast speed. Seeing that the giant blue net was about to be melted to create a huge gap. When Crook saw this, the long whip in his hand quickly changed color, turning into a crystal clear ice blue. Then Crook waved his hand casually, and a cold current suddenly blew out from the ice blue long whip in his hand, and invaded Yinda's giant net in the blink of an eye. In an instant, Yinda's huge net seemed to have been fully supplied with firepower, and began to show its might. The melted giant net quickly recovered, and with the help of this cold current, the lava in the net was successfully frozen. Seeing this, Yinda grinned, his hands were showing veins, and then he shook them vigorously. The huge frozen lava in the ice burst out like a rocket, launching towards the direction of attack. Boom boom boom. The violent explosions sounded again. Violent explosions sounded continuously, but Yinda didn't feel the slightest excitement at all, replaced by golden-locked pupils. In those constricted pupils, the giant fist that has been burning with fierce flames is hitting his face at an inconceivable speed. Yinda, who just used all his strength to throw away dozens of pieces of lava with a diameter of more than 20 meters, is now in a situation where his old power has been exhausted and his new power has not been regenerated. At the same time, because he has used too much power, he in a state of stiffness, there is no way to avoid it. Unable to use his strength, unable to dodge, Yinda could only use his strength to use his strength, and then watched helplessly as the huge lava hand with blazing flames covered his body. Yinda. Crook, who was behind Yinda, saw this scene, and immediately shouted worriedly. However, Luke's situation was not very good at this time. Because, below her floating, a flame is rapidly blooming. The pillar of fire that reaches the sky is about to erupt again. The lava titan has two purposes, and the timing is very accurate. At the moment when the two of them were in a state of stiffness, a terrifying attack was launched. Crook also noticed the flames under his feet, and immediately saw what kind of attack it was, and his pupils shrank immediately. At this speed, there is no time to dodge at all, so they can only resist. Crook immediately saw his current situation clearly. The next moment, the sky-reaching fire column erupted suddenly, and the blue long whip in Crook's hand was also fiercely swung downward, and the cold current emerged again, colliding fiercely with the sky-reaching fire column. Like two protective shields, the red and white attacks collided together. Two different auras are formed. However, the two auras only stalemate for less than a second before it was broken. The pillar of fire piercing through the sky broke through the blowing of the cold current, directly covering Crook completely. At the same time, the giant lava fist of the lava titan also fell head-on. Boom. Yinda was beaten so badly that he vomited blood, and Crook was hit head-on by a pillar of fire that reached the sky, and he did not know whether he was alive or dead. This is the logical follow-up to the script I've seen so far. However, since Chi-Ya is here, it is naturally impossible for this kind of thing to happen. Before the giant lava fist could hit Yinda, he was blasted away with his huge body under a huge force. Chi-Ya's figure appeared in front of Yinda's body, but the one who was supposed to hit Crook was not in the pillar of fire at this time, but was floating gently behind Chi-Ya and in front of Yinda's body. This blow could seriously injure Crook, and even burn the pillar of fire that completely burned Crook, but the lava titan was lonely. Hey, don't ignore me, I'm your enemy anyway. Standing on the magma, Chi-Ya looked at the lava titan that stopped in the distance, and said helplessly. Chi-Ya found that the lava titan didn't seem to intend to attack him at all, and kept chasing Yinda and Crook. I had clearly caused him a serious injury just now. It stands to reason that this guy should be chasing me and beating me. Hey, you two, are you okay? Chi-Ya turned slightly sideways, looked at the two of them, and asked with concern. It's okay, thanks to your timely rescue. Crook shook his head with lingering fear, and said happily. Just now, the pillar of fire from the sky was about to bombard me, and I couldn't exert a strong explosive power in the air. I got out from that position, and I could only watch helplessly as my attack was destroyed. The flames fell on him. However, at the critical moment, Chi-Ya's lightning flickering figure rescued Chi-Ya from there in a thousandth of a second. By the way, he also appeared in front of Yinda and punched the lava titan. Yinda also shook his head slightly, thanking Hinata. It's you, are you alright? Crook asked worriedly as he put his gaze on Chi-Ya's hand. At this time, the hand that Chi-Ya attacked just now was red all over, and it could be seen that it was burned. It can be seen that the temperature of the lava titan deep mountain is so high that even Chi-Ya, who has a strong resistance to fire attributes, was burned. Ah, it's okay. Hearing this, Chi-Ya glanced at her hand and said with a light smile. The red hand returned to its original shape in the blink of an eye, white and red. Afterwards, Chi-Ya looked at Yinda, stretched out his hand, and a small bottle appeared in his hand. Chi-Ya threw it over. Sincerely benefiting 1 billion monks, it will be transferred to my account after this battle. Seeing Chi-Ya suddenly throwing a bottle towards him, Yin-Da took it without thinking. Before Yinda could ask what it was, Chi-Ya's voice came over, directly messing with Yintian. What is so expensive? Such a small bottle costs 1 billion rings. Yinda, good stuff, drink the contents. Crook recognized it at a glance, and reminded Yinda directly. Hearing Crook's reminder, Yinda didn't hesitate, and directly opened the bottle and drank a few drops of the Millennium Stone milk inside. The next moment, Yinda's pupils constricted suddenly, his eyes revealed disbelief, and at the same time he looked towards Chi-Ya. Yinda could feel the huge energy different from Nian Qi appearing in his body. This energy is slowly changing his physique. Yinda, who exercises regularly, immediately understood the value of what he just drank. This is 1,000-year-old stone milk, a treasure to strengthen your physique, and at the same time, it can play a decisive role in your current situation. Chi-Ya explained aloud. 1,000-year stone milk can supplement the consumption of the human body, and this consumption also includes the water of the human body. Looking at the puzzled looks of the two, Chi-Ya added another sentence. Now, the two were overjoyed. The prepared water has been destroyed, and what they are most worried about now is to continue fighting. They will be dehydrated and go into shock due to the intense heat. They never thought that the 1,000-year-old stone milk given by Chi-Ya would actually have this effect. It is simply for them now. Treasures tailored for battle. Doll. At this moment, the lava titan in front of the three of them started roaring. Seeing this, the three of them didn't continue to communicate. They all assumed fighting postures and prepared to attack. However, the next scene left the three of them dumbfounded. Because, after the lava titan was blasted out by Chi-Ya, he didn't fight back angrily, but instead turned around and ran towards the ruins. What the hell? Before the three of them figured out the current situation, an earth-shattering movement came out of the ruins. The horrible relics are conveyed inside, which is deafening. Covered by the terrifying explosion, the three of Chi-Ya involuntarily covered their ears, their faces full of pain. After a few seconds, the terrifying explosion sound completely disappeared. Several people also lowered their hands. The three who put down their hands did not communicate, and rushed straight to the entrance of the ruins. Because, at this moment, Lava Titan has appeared at the entrance of the ruins. As soon as the three of Chi-Ya left, the Lava Titan had already entered the ruins. Their mission is to lure this monster away and get rid of it, so that this monster cannot join the patron saint in the ruins. Give Netero and the others a chance to kill that monster. It would be bad if the Lava Titan was allowed to return to that monster. The appearance of the Lava Titan will definitely disrupt the fighting rhythm of both sides. On the other side, in the ruins, the three Neteros are attacking the patron saint violently at this time. The patron saint, who was originally rooted in the earth, began to move at this time. Every time it moves, the ground will produce a huge vibration, and it will shatter, like a magnitude 8 earthquake. A series of cracks were continuously formed under the movement of the guardian god. The huge roots rooted hundreds of meters deep in the ground will change the landscape every time it moves. The topography of the entire ruins has been completely changed, with countless cracks crisscrossing. Looking down from the top, you can only see the endless abyss, which is frightening. And on the Patronus, Netero, Kim and Potter White were fighting fiercely. The 100-style Avalokitesvara behind Netero bombarded the body of the guardian god, continuously with its 100-style Buddha palms. Debris flew across the body, and the body of the guardian god was destroyed with a gap several hundred meters wide. And behind Netero, Potter Bai's body, which is huge compared to ordinary people, but extremely slender compared to the Avalokitesvara, as firmly covering Netero's Avalokitesvara. The patron saint's attack was completely stopped by him. Whether it was the twinkling giant dragon with glimmering light or the huge and ferocious branches, they were all completely stopped under Potter's white hands. The place where the two are located is completely a vacuum circle. As for the rest of Jin, at this time, Jin is no longer by their side. As for where he went, no one knew, and only Netero, Potter Bai and the patron saint, who were present, knew. Hateful ants. Being an obedient old man is not nourishing enough, and being an old man's nourishment is the highest honor. The old voice was full of anger, and it continued to come from all directions. Netero and Potter Bai remained unmoved, and each performed their duties. As for Jin, this guy is also in this place at this time, but it can also be said to be in a different place. Because this guy, Jin, did not know what ability he used, but actually entered the body of the guardian god. In the body of the guardian god, in the darkness, Jin was walking in the darkness like walking on the ground. There is a faint light on his body. This guy's body is really big, and it's really difficult to find his weakness. If you can't find the core of this guy within half an hour, then things will be troublesome. Walking in the dark, Jin closed his eyes, using the circle to perceive everything around him, and said lightly. The body of the guardian god is really too big, half the size of a small city, and it is also very tough. If you want to completely destroy it, it is impossible to do it within an hour with the strength of the three of them. It will take several hours at least, and their thoughts will continue to flow and will not be exhausted. However, if this situation is really followed, then let alone destroying the patron saint, the risk of falling here is even greater. Therefore, the three of them had a division of labor on the way here. Netero and Potter Bai attacked the patron saint outside and attracted the attention of the patron saint, while Jin took the opportunity to use his ability to enter the body of the patron saint and destroy the core of the patron saint. Powerful monsters. Each monster has a powerful core in its body, which is a bit similar to the magic core of the monsters in the Western fantasy novels that Shi Ya read in his previous life. And to destroy this kind of monster, then the core in its body must be destroyed. When Shi Ya was in the wetland of Wetmele, the last self-destruction of Sa Mo Ke was to self-detonate the core of his body and the mind energy in his body. With the destruction of the core, Sa Mo Ke also completely disappeared in this world, considered extinct. Jin's ability is not his own ability, but an ability stolen from the enemy. It's not considered stealing. Jin's talent allows him to easily learn and imitate after being hit by the ability of the strike department. The ability of imitation can reach the power of the original ability of more than 8 layers. Although the ability that Jin is using now is a bit peculiar, it is also a strike ability. It was obtained by Jin from destroying a very strange monster in a ruin. It was a feather saucer, petite in stature, but extremely terrifying in ability. The person who is hit by the feather disc will be invaded by it and destroyed from the inside of the body. Moreover, after entering the enemy's body, it will not be restrained, but it seems to be in another dimension. At that time, Jin was very embarrassed by this ability. After discovering it, Jin decisively used Nian Qi, using powerful Nian Qi to force out the feather disc that had invaded his body and squeeze it into pieces. I don't know what's going on outside. I hope the old man and Chen can hold on. Don't die until I find the core. The speed of the more than 600-meter circle exuding gold, regardless of consumption, continued to increase, and faintly turned into a ghostly afterimage. In the darkness, a voice emitting white light turned into an afterimage flashing rapidly, starting from the bottom and walking continuously, as if walking through a maze. From the bottom position, it is constantly moving upwards. The body of the patron saint is like a building, and Jin is constantly exploring the various floors in this building. Finally, after going through almost 100 floors, Jin finally sensed the core of the patron saint. Seeing this green light appearing in the darkness, Jin was so excited that the corners of his mouth curled up. Finally found it, Jin Dan said with a smile. Damn guy. Actually entered the old man's body, trying to do something to the old man's origin, dreaming. The moment Jin appeared in front of the core of the guardian god finally discovered the monsters scurrying around in his body. Jin, suddenly furious, and an angry voice sounded in this place. Afterwards, the floating green light quickly flashed forward. At the same time, the Patronus outside also started to riot, and the furious Patronus directly blasted Netero and Potter Bai who were attacking. The mountains next to the guardian god began to shake violently, and then 5 huge roots broke through the ground, and the 5 mountains collapsed at this moment, with a huge sound that shook the sky and spread far away, far away. Want to run, dream. In the body of the guardian god, the core of the guardian god, flashing green light quickly shot towards the darkness. If I let you escape, then the meaning of my coming here will be gone. Jin's body flashed quickly, and he quickly chased after him. The core of the guardian god is not slippery, and it is extremely difficult to capture, but Jin is not weak, and follows like a shadow. However, even so, it was only after 5 or 6 minutes of chasing after Jin that he completely caught it and held it tightly. The next moment, a terrifying thought energy rose up, and terrifying strength emerged in Jin's hands. Jin squeezed it hard without any hesitation. Crackling. There was a sound like a rope breaking, and the core that was originally shining with green light was pinched and swelled up. Even if you crush the old man's origin, it's useless, just wait. The old man will absolutely smash you into pieces. However, facing this desperate situation, the guardian god did not have the slightest fear, but roaring angrily, he threatened Jin. Hee. Faced with this powerless threat, Jin smiled disdainfully, and the strength in his hand increased sharply again. There was a cracking sound, and the core of the guardian god was directly crushed by Jin, shattered and scattered. The light quickly dissipated, and the surroundings suddenly darkened. This is the end. Jin clapped his hands and said, I have to get out of here quickly, otherwise it will be very bad. As soon as the words fell, Jin, who was walking on the ground, began to shake. Oops, the core is destroyed. This guy's body is starting to collapse. If you don't go out, I will collapse together. Although the ability that Jin obtained is terrifying, it also has conditions and restrictions. Because of this, Jin's ability was only used once. And this limitation is that the size of the user and the victim needs to be more than 100 times different. Otherwise, the conditions cannot be fulfilled and the ability cannot be activated. In addition, after successfully killing the enemy, you must rush out of the enemy's body within 2 minutes, otherwise it will assimilate with the enemy's body and collapse together. Therefore, Jin's most urgent delay now is to quickly leave the body of the guardian god, otherwise he will fall with the body of the guardian god. However, it has not waited for Jin to make a move. In front of Jin's eyes, in the darkness, a flame appeared in Jin's field of vision and continued to enlarge. When Jin saw this scene, his pupils shrank immediately. What is this? Damn it, this guy's speed is too fast. Yinda, how did you lure him here before without being caught up? He quickly chased after the lava titan. Even Chiya, who was in a state of super speed, couldn't catch up. Chiya couldn't help but cursed secretly, and then asked Yin Da, who was behind him. As soon as the lava titan entered the ruins, it directly merged into the magma, flowing rapidly in the magma, and its speed was even faster than Chiya's divine speed. Chiya couldn't catch up with it with all his strength, and could only hang behind it. With such a speed, Chiya really wondered how this guy Yinda attracted it to come over but was not caught up. I don't know, this guy didn't have this kind of speed before. Yinda, who fell behind, was also very depressed at this time. TCH, I got it, you too, don't follow, you are almost approaching the spiritual Nen domain of that monster, I'll just go there. Chiya got annoyed, and then shouted loudly. After shouting, Chiya turned her head and didn't speak again. With the fastest speed in the state of super speed, she bit the lava titan tightly, not letting it escape from her vision. The two who were left behind by Chiya were stunned when they heard this, and then stopped. Chiya is right. They don't have the props to eliminate thoughts, and it was troublesome in the past, so it's better to go back and wait. Shortly after watching Chiya leave, Crook and Yinda looked at each other, then turned and walked back to the rocky basin. It's really careless, this guy can run away. Crook whispered with an ugly face. On the other side, after being blown away, Netero and Potter quickly stabilized their pace and fell into the magma. It looks like that guy Jin has been discovered. Netero looked at the berserk, patron saint, and said solemnly. It looks like, but, it's really scary. The old man's body almost fell apart from the blow just now. Potter looked solemnly at the huge tree branch constantly dancing not far away, and said seriously. President, are you alright? Immediately, Potter looked at Netero beside him and asked with concern. One of the 5 huge roots rushing out of the ground just now swung over, directly sending him and Netero hundreds of meters away. That kind of powerful power almost broke his defense. But even so, the huge force still caused him a lot of injuries. If his body strength was not strong enough, he might have been seriously injured or even died by this blow just now. And Netero wasn't much better. If it weren't for the guardianship of Baishi Guanyin, Netero, who was old and frail and had a serious decline in physical fitness, might have died here directly. Half of his Nen Baishi Avalokitesvara was directly smashed to pieces just now. Old man, I'm fine. Netero stroked his beard and shook his head slightly, indicating that he was fine. With Avalokitesvara in 100 forms, his surroundings are a safe zone. Although the patron saint's attack is powerful, the blow just now can be compared with his heyday. However, the power is strong enough, but the attack speed of the patron saint is not enough. Netero easily defended against its attack. The price is that the 100 styles of Avalokitesvara that it manifested has been sucked out, but people are fine. Let's step back. Jin should be almost successful, otherwise this monster wouldn't be so furious. In this case, there is no need for us to continue to attract his attention here. Let's retreat to a distance and wait for Jin to come out. Immediately, Netero made a decision to evacuate here temporarily. What he and Potter did just now was just to attract Jin's attention. Now that Jin has been discovered, there is no need for them to continue to attract attention. Wait for the gold to come out, and then you will know whether you have succeeded or failed. Potter nodded lightly, expressing his understanding. The two quickly retreated behind. The guardian kept waving huge branches, ignoring the retreating Netero and Potter. But when the two retreated, they felt something, and they were startled suddenly. In the next moment, a stream of ooze flashed past them, and then they saw a huge piece of lava rising into the sky, rushing towards the patron saint. Before the two could react, Chiya's voice came from behind. Old man Netero, stop that guy quickly. However, this sentence was shouted too late. At the moment when Chi-Ya's voice came over, the lava from the city had already hit the guardian angel's body. Surprisingly, the patron saint hit by the lava showed no signs of burning at all. Instead, the lava blended into the body of the patron saint, very peacefully, without any accidents. And Chi-Ya's figure also appeared beside Netero and Potter Bai at this moment. Chi-Ya. What's going on? What was that just now? Netero put his hand on Chi-Ya's shoulder and asked solemnly. He could sense that something was wrong. The monster that Yinda brought over, within a few hits, that guy rushed back. Even I couldn't catch up with that speed. Looking at the lava titan that had completely melted into the body of the guardian, Chi-Ya took a deep breath, and then said seriously. The three of you can't stop him, Potter exclaimed in surprise. This guy is too cunning. We thought he was going to attack, but we didn't expect that he was going to run away, and he slipped away for a while. Moreover, this guy is too fast, and I can't stop him, Chi-Ya said with an ugly face. He had promised Netero before that he would stop the lava titan together with Crook and the two of them. But now it is disbelief. His mission, the first time, failed. But as soon as Chi-Ya's voice fell, the guardian god suddenly burst into fiery flames, sweeping towards the surroundings. Then, a figure burst out from the flames and slammed towards them fiercely. The speed was fast, ferocious, and sonic booms all appeared, and then, Jin's voice came from this voice. Hey, you guys, get out of the way, I can't stop. Seeing this, the three of them hurriedly jumped away and left the place one after another. Boom. With a loud noise, Jin's whole body directly smashed into the magma, and a large amount of magma shot out to the surroundings. The three of Chi-Ya quickly used Nen to block the magma. Then he looked at the place where Jin landed. In the magma, Jin stood up from the magma and patted his butt like a normal person. Huh. This guy is really cunning. This guy. The memory of that time was deliberately shown to us. Looking at the burning patron saint, the corners of Jin's eyes twitched a little, and said very painfully. Jin. What happened? The three of Chi-Ya approached, and Netero frowned and asked. We were all deceived by this guy. This guy and the monster in the volcano are not in a symbiotic relationship at all, but they are one with two cores. The monster in the volcano is the other core of this guy, but this guy has consciousness, but the core in the volcano has only instinct. They are twins. This guy dominates. Just now, I destroyed his core in this guy's body, and this guy immediately summoned another core back. Then I was kicked out by this guy. Jin spread his hands and said helplessly. It was already successful, but the old guy even hid it. It's actually like this. Knowing the cause and effect of the matter, Netero and Potter Bai were also shocked. What should we do now? Chi-Ya wasn't too shocked. He wasn't surprised what would happen to the monsters coming from the Dark Continent. What else can I do? Fight. Since the plan to sabotage from the inside has been ruined, then I can only be tough, and I can't let it go. Jin Wenyan raised his eyebrows. Said with a smile. As soon as the words fell, Jin's body changed into an afterimage, rushing towards the guardian god. It's the only way to do it now, Netero said with a sigh. The old man is one step ahead. Potter nodded, and then also jumped up, rushing towards the sky. In that case, let me help you too. Seeing this, Chi-Ya was also ready to make a move. Although his strength cannot be compared with these few people, he can still help some people. Moreover, this time it was originally his task, and it was his responsibility to let the lava titan run back. He should take action for all reasons. However, he was stopped by Netero just as he was about to make a shot. Wait, Chi-Ya, don't make a move. The old man wants to entrust you with another matter, Netero said solemnly. Chi-Ya was taken aback for a moment, and had a slight guess in his heart. Sure enough, Netero's next words confirmed Chi-Ya's guess. Chi-Ya, the next battle will definitely be a tug of war. If the mind-killing props on us disappear, then the result of our battle will definitely end with our defeat. The old man hopes that you can create a battle that eliminates Nyanyu as soon as possible, so that we can rest assured, Netero said solemnly. Hearing this, Chi-Ya frowned slightly, but didn't immediately agree. It takes at least half an hour to make a Chunyan jade, but now, Netero and the others have already used the Chunyan small box for almost half an hour. That is to say, only half an hour is left for the effect of the small box of eliminating thoughts. Netero has 2 lockets, nothing to worry about, but Jin and the others only have 1. Once the mind-killing effect disappears, Jin and the others will definitely fall into a passive state. To resist the spirit Nen of this monster, their strength will be weakened by at least half. I should have done a few more before I knew it. Thinking of this, Chi-Ya sighed slightly and said. I didn't expect things to turn out like this. It's my mistake. Netero's complexion was also not very good. He thought that an hour would be enough for the three of them to attack together. Unexpectedly, things turned out to be complicated, and they were going to have a tug of war with this monster next. I can ask you about this matter, Chiya. Afterwards, Netero's expression became serious again, and he asked Chiya again. I know, I will try my best, but I can't make two in half an hour. Once the effect of banishing disappears, it will only depend on your willpower. Chiya agreed, with the same expression quite dignified. Thanks, the old man owes you another favor. Netero's face relaxed slightly, and then he said with a smile. After finishing speaking, Netero rushed towards the battlefield of Jin and others, and soon joined the battlefield between Jin and the guardian god. Looking at the battle above, feeling the terrifying battle fluctuations pouring down from above, Chiya sighed slightly. Turned around and flashed into the distance. This is the center of the battlefield, not a good place. Here, it is easy to be affected, and it is difficult to watch the battle quietly, let alone create Nyanyu. Soon Chiya came to a relatively calm place compared to the center of the battlefield. Chiya found a bright red rock and sat on it, without any hesitation, and directly started making the Nyanyu. The moment Chiya started using Chu Nen to make Chu Nyanyu, the 1,000-year stone milk that Chiya swallowed before played a role. Millennium stone milk is a treasure to enhance physical fitness, and it is also a powerful consumable. The reason why Millennium stone milk can strengthen the body is that it can quickly replenish the substances consumed in the body, making people get twice the result with half the effort when exercising. Before the effect of the 1,000-year stone milk is exhausted, any substance in the user's body is reduced, and the huge energy of the 1,000-year stone milk can be transformed immediately to replenish it. This point, Chiya has explained to Yinda before. Crook's quick recovery from severe water consumption was also due to the Millennium stone milk. Moreover, the 1,000-year stone milk can not only supplement these, but also supplement the consumption of mind energy. As Chiya started to make Nyan Chi, the Nyan Chi in Chiya's body began to decrease rapidly, and the huge energy of the 1,000-year stone milk quickly turned into Nyan Chi, and the Nyan Chi consumed by Chiya was replenished, one decrease and one increase for a while. The thought energy in Chiya's body didn't seem to be consumed. Chiya didn't even think of this point. Regarding the Millennium stone milk, Chiya knows that Chiya can replenish the substances consumed in the body, but Chiya doesn't know it, that Nyan Chi can also be restored. When fighting before, Chiya didn't have time to pay attention to the recovery of Nyan Chi. Before fighting the Lava Titan, Chiya only played 2 or 3 times, and didn't use too much Nyan Chi. In addition, Chiya's physique itself is very good. It is powerful, and the speed at which the body recovers mind energy is quite impressive, so Chiya doesn't know that the 1,000-year stone milk has this effect at all. Now, when Chiya made Nyanyu, the large consumption of Nyan Chi showed the effect of the Millennium stone milk. It actually has this kind of effect. It's really a rare treasure. It's just like a power bank for a mobile phone. It's used for general use while charging. Chiya opened his eyes, with surprise flashing in them, and murmured "Road." Afterwards, he closed his eyes again, and began to make all-out mind-eliminating props again. This time, Chiya's manufacturing speed was much faster than the previous manufacturing speed in the hotel. Boom. The earth-shattering sound continued to come from the ruins. Even in the rocky basin, both Crook and Yinda could hear it. This huge sound was like thunder ringing in their ears, making their hearts involuntary. Lifted it up. What happened inside? There has been such a big movement since just now, and there is still an impact from such a long distance. What level of battle can cause this scale? Blocking the front of the body, Crook looked inexplicably worried as the strong wind blowing over him struck. I don't know, but the situation must be bad. In this case, the two of us are powerless. Yinda's naive expression was a little downcast at this time, like a wilted cucumber. Hey, what happened in the ruins of Crook? At this moment, Menchi's voice came from behind the two, and then Menchi appeared beside Crook. The huge movement from the ruins is not only transmitted here, even the city of Salia is within this huge plus movement range. The huge explosions even reached out to the city of Salia, which was more than 100 miles away. The interior of Salia city is now in chaos, and the residents of the city are panicking. After Menchi heard the huge movement, he immediately thought of Chiya, and went to Chiya's room to find him. But they couldn't find it. I went to the front desk to ask and found out that Chiya left the hotel with Crook. While muttering in his heart how Chiya got involved with Crook, Menchi also rushed over here directly. Crook and Chiya act together, the most likely is to come here. Because Crook is one of the 12 earthly branches, Netero arranged to manage it. However, after coming here, Menchi found that there were only Crook and Yinda here, and there was no sign of Chiya, so he suddenly became worried. Chi-Ya and the president are in the ruins. Crook looked at Menchi and then replied. Hearing this, Menchi was taken aback for a moment, and then suddenly raised his heart. Being so close, Menchi clearly faced the terrifying impact from the ruins. Menchi could imagine that the battle inside was extremely fierce, and even a battle between two small countries could not cause such a movement. Chi-Ya is inside, will she be hurt? Instinctively, Menchi wanted to rush into the ruins to find Chi-Ya. But he was stopped by Crook, who had quick eyes and quick hands. Don't go in and make trouble. Didn't you see that we didn't go in? Crook reprimanded mercilessly. Being reprimanded by Crook, Menchi also became sober and calmed down. Menchi knows that with his own strength, he is not qualified to be involved at all, and going in will only cause trouble for Chi-Ya, trouble for the president and the others. It is a burden. At this moment, a strong desire for strength emerged in Menchi's heart. If your strength is strong enough, you can go in by yourself. Strength? Menchi was taken aback suddenly. Yes, strength. My strength is very weak, but the two around me are 12 earthly branches, so it goes without saying. Why are the two of them here, but didn't go in? Crook also saw the doubt in Menchi's eyes, shook his head slightly, and explained aloud. We can't get in there, it will cause trouble. As soon as these words came out, an ominous premonition rose in Menchi's heart. The 12 earthly branches are actually a burden. Is the battle inside so terrifying? Menchi suddenly looked at the ruins, his pupils narrowed tightly, and his face was extremely worried. WWW. No, this speed is still too slow. It seems that I need to strengthen the elimination of Nen. After condensing the elimination of Nen for a few minutes, Chi-Ya opened his eyes, frowned and said to himself. Chi-Ya directly immersed her mind in her mind, and called out the attribute panel. Name. Chi-Ya Zoldyck ability. Nen. Conjurer Nen speed. Thunder. 10,000. Traits Nen space operation. 10,000. Manipulator Nen angel ring archangel's breath. 5,000. Enhancement Nen. 10,000. Emitter Nen desire. 1,000. Note. The number of reinforcement points required for the next reinforcement is in brackets. Deputy ability. Cuisine. Advanced cuisine. 500. Archaeology. Archaeology expert. 5,000. Note. In brackets are the enhancement points required for the next enhancement. Strengthening points. 6,332 item. Aluminum alloy yo-yo, 1 piece. System. Use 6,000 points to strengthen my ability to divide and combine. Chi-Ya said to the system in his mind. In order to solve this problem, Chi-Ya directly carried out 2 reinforcements. Ding. Use 1,000 strengthening points to strengthen emitter Nen. Congratulations to the host for getting immunity to emitter Nen. Ding. Use 5,000 reinforcement points to enhance emitter Nen immunity. Congratulations to the host for obtaining emitter, and eliminate the field of thought. As soon as the system's voice fell, Chi-Ya's body trembled suddenly, and a huge thought energy surged out of his body again. This time, the Nyen Chi in Chi-Ya's body didn't increase much. There was only about 1 layer, that is, about 107,000 potential Chi Emperors, and Chi-Ya's current potential Chi Emperors had reached 380,000. At the same time, the upper limit of Chi-Ya's display capacity has also increased by several thousand. The attack power of Chi-Ya's mind energy that can be sent out in an instant has skyrocketed again. However, these are not Chi-Ya's focus now. At this moment, Chi-Ya is accepting the information about the field of eliminating thoughts in his mind. After receiving all the information, Chi-Ya's eyes opened quickly, and the sun disappeared in a flash. This ability is not bad. Nen immunity is a passive skill. Chi-Ya's body is now immune to most of the negative effects of Nen. As for the upper limit, Chi-Ya doesn't know. As for the field of eliminating thoughts, this is the ability that Chi-Ya needs now. The strengthened Chi-Ya can use it to directly release a Nen field. It is the same as the spiritual Nen domain of the Guardian God. It's just that the spiritual Nen domain of the Guardian God can make people lose consciousness, while Chi-Ya's mind eliminating domain can make people who enter this domain immune to any Nen influence. And the maximum range of this field is 500 meters. The corners of Chi-Ya's mouth curled up slightly, and he instantly entered the state of super speed, and his whole body disappeared from the original place in an instant, leaving only an electric arc flickering in the air for a moment, and then went out. Hey, old man, the situation is not good if you continue like this. While dealing with the sharp leaves wrapped in raging fire, while avoiding the attack of the huge tree roots stretching up from the ground, Jin frowned tightly, shouted to Netero, who was in the same situation not far away. The body of the patron saint is too huge, so the defense is not very high. Of course, even if the defense is not high, their attacks must be very powerful to destroy their bodies. Also, because the body of the patron saint is too huge, although their attacks can destroy the body of the patron saint in a large area, but to the patron saint, it is just a drizzle, not worth mentioning at all. If they continue, they will not be able to completely destroy the guardian god, even if their energy is exhausted. Moreover, with the passage of time, the effect of the small box of eliminating thoughts on them is about to disappear. Once they disappear, the situation they face will be even worse. This kind of scene is too unfavorable for them. The old man also knows, but this monster must be destroyed. In a few minutes, if Chi-Ya fails to send Chu Nianyu over, we will retreat immediately. Netero shook his head and said, the prayers of his hands did not stop at all. In a second, the golden Buddha's palm hit the burning patron saint. It directly destroyed the huge tree body through a gap of more than 10 meters. However, compared to the huge body of the guardian god, such a small gap is like a human being stared at by a mosquito, and the indicator has an itchy effect. Without the props to eliminate thoughts, their situation here will definitely be very dangerous, and they must evacuate immediately. Otherwise, there is a 70% chance that they will be left here completely. Not to mention other things, just talk about himself. Once he is distracted to suppress the spirit nen of this monster, then his spirit will become scattered again, and the prayer gestures of Baishi Guanyin will also appear flawed. The power of attacks launched with flawed prayer gestures will definitely be greatly reduced. I've been playing wild on this old man for so long, and I still want to get out of my body, dream, and die here for this old man, and become my nourishment. The old and angry voice sounded in the ears of Netero and the others, making them they all have serious faces. There is also that kid. The old man will not let him go. After the old man wipes out all of you and turns them into flesh and blood supplies, the old man will leave here and hunt down that kid, even if it is Tianya Cape. The old man will not let him go pass him. The patron saint has already seen that the reason why Jin and others are immune to their own abilities is because of Chi-Ya's relationship. The green fluorescent lights that linger on Jin and the others come from the same source as the ones on Chi-Ya. If it weren't for Chi-Ya's ability, he would have taken down Netero and the others long ago and absorbed them as his own nutrients. Combining new and old hatreds, the guardian god hates Chi-Ya more strongly than Netero and the others. Tianya Heijao, you hammer, eat the young master, I will hit the top with 5 thunders. As soon as the voice of the guardian god fell, a thick thunderbolt suddenly blasted on the huge tree, directly blasting a gap tens of meters wide. On the gap, thunder and lightning kept flickering, and then, a figure flickering with lightning fell in front of Jin. Yo, I'm back. Chi-Ya waved to the two with a faint smile. Seeing Chi-Ya appear, Jin and Netero breathed a sigh of relief. If Chi-Ya appeared here, it meant that Chi-Ya had already created the mind-eliminating props, and they didn't have to retreat directly, at least they could continue to fight. But at the moment when the two breathed a sigh of relief, the patron saint, who didn't react too much to the violent attack of Netero's 3, screamed in pain when he was hit by Chi-Ya's thunder. The huge tree body kept shaking, as if it was struggling in pain, and the attacks of Zhang Shongjin and others also stopped. The earth is trembling constantly, and a magnitude 8 earthquake is rapidly forming. What's going on? This guy seems to be screaming. Netero and others also noticed this keenly, and opened their mouths in surprise. They have been attacking for so long, but this monster has never screamed in such pain. No, it should be said that there was no pain at all, no screaming. Why did it become like this when Chi-Ya's attack landed on it? Is this guy afraid of lightning? Potter Bai also took the opportunity to come to the 3 of them from a distance, and asked in confusion. It seems like this. Jin replied thoughtfully. Chi-Ya, you can use your Thunderbolt Nen to attack again. Netero said to Chi-Ya. Although Chi-Ya didn't understand what they said, she didn't refuse. Lightning flickered in his hand, and with a direct wave, a thunderbolt struck down again and landed on the body of the guardian god. Immediately, the screams of the patron saint became more intense. It's effective. Jin and the others were stunned for a moment, and they said happily inwardly. Chi-Ya, use your ability to hit me, Jin said excitedly to Chi-Ya. Hearing this, Chi-Ya immediately raised her brows with a strange expression. Does anyone else like being beaten? Since you like to be beaten, then I won't be here. Thinking of this, he punched Jin's chin directly in the state of super speed. Jin flew out of the whole person and smashed heavily not far away. There were electric arcs flickering on Jin's chin that hit the ground, which made Jin's chin numb. But Jin didn't care at all, but muttered to himself. So that's it, that's it. While muttering to himself, Jin got up from the ground, and the next moment, a strong cold air emerged from Jin's body. In the eyes of the 3 of Chi-Ya, this powerful thought energy quickly changed. Within 2 seconds, an electric arc bloomed on Jin's body. Then with a muffled sound, the electric arc on Jin's body exploded, and the next moment, Jin also followed Chi-Ya's glance, entering a state of super speed, and his whole body was entangled in lightning. Seeing this scene, Chi-Ya's pupils shrank, and suddenly remembered the terrifying talent of the guy in front of him, and the corners of his mouth twitched. This guy. What a monster. At this time, in the body of the guardian god, the fiery core of the lava titan was passing by a trace of electric current. In the outside world, Chi-Ya attacked twice in a row, and the fiery core formed by the lava titan would flash with lightning, as if echoing with the outside world, destroying the core. And this trace of lightning is what Chi-Ya left when he attacked the lava titan with all his enhancer and conjurer before. Chi-Ya himself didn't know that the attack at that time would cause this kind of damage to the lava titan. The only remaining core was destroyed again. The guardian god could no longer calm down. The severe pain caused by the core being destroyed made it unbearable, and it struggled painfully, constantly waving huge branches and roots, wanting to this vent pain. He didn't have the energy to pay attention to Jin in them at all. While outside, this is Chi-Ya's ability. Netero and Potter Bai froze as they saw Jin wrapped around lightning. Ah, this is my talent, the Nen of the strike system. As long as I am attacked, I can imitate it for about 8 layers. Jin's face in the state of super speed is also very indifferent, raised his head slightly. Jin said indifferently. However, it is really a good ability. This ability has a very difficult pre-training. Even if I don't have this precondition, it is impossible to maintain this state for a long time under the conditions of. Chi-Ya, you have developed a good ability. Speaking of this, a slight smile appeared on Jin's indifferent face. Chi-Ya's speed is based on Chi-Ya's strong resistance to lightning, which was developed by exercising the body with high voltage current since childhood. Jin does not have such a strong resistance, although because of his talent, he can imitate this ability and transform Chi into lightning. However, Jin's body can't bear the devastation brought by this ability for a long time. That's right, devastation, without lightning resistance. Using lightning Nen, although powerful, will also cause immeasurable damage to one's body at the same time. Jin is like this now, but Jin has a strong physique and is fine for the time being, able to withstand the destructiveness of lightning. But it will fail after a long time. Even if Jin's physique is very strong, it is impossible to develop without injury. You monster. Chi-Ya narrowed his eyes and said slightly unhappy. I had to endure several years of high voltage current development before I was able to develop super speed. This guy Jin imitated it all at once, which made Chi-Ya very unhappy. Hey, thanks for the compliment. Jin said triumphantly with a hook at the corner of his mouth. Unknowingly, Jin has overcome the indifference brought about by the state of super speed. Then, without further ado, while I'm still in this state, Chi-Ya, the two of us will be the main force to destroy this monster. Old man, Chen, please protect us. The two of us will do our best to destroy this monster. Jin said solemnly to Netero and Bo Potter. Okay. Leave it to the old man. I will do my best to cover you two just attack, and we will deal with this monster's attack. Well, leave it to the old man. Potter nodded solemnly. Okay, Chi-Ya. Jin nodded, then looked at Chi-Ya, asking Chi-Ya for advice. Ah, yes. Chi-Ya nodded slightly and agreed without hesitation. This time it was originally caused by the failure of his mission, so Chi-Ya had no objection to Jin and the others asking him to take action. Rather, even if Jin and the others don't say anything, Chi-Ya will make a move. This is the first mission failure since Chi-Ya's killer career. Chi-Ya will make compensation according to the situation. In the current situation, joining forces with Jin and the others to eliminate this monster together is the last choice. With a wave of his hand, Chi-Ya took out some Millennium Stone milk from the system space again, and Chi-Ya sent several bottles to several people. Good stuff, drink these things, Chi-Ya said lightly. Jin, Netero, and Potter Bai have been here for an hour, and they have been engaged in a high-intensity battle with the monster in front of them, and the mind energy in their bodies has been exhausted. Continuing to fight, it is estimated that within a few tens of minutes, their thoughts will become exhausted. At that time, it will be even more difficult, even impossible, to kill this monster. In order to kill this monster and make up for the result caused by the failure of his mission, Chi-Ya spent a lot of money. There is no way to continue to obtain this 1000-year stone milk. The three of them didn't suspect him, they just took the bottle floating in midair, opened it and poured it directly. The next moment, all three of them stared wide-eyed. It really is a good thing, Jin said in surprise. Chi-Ya, do you still have this thing? Can you trade it? How much do you have? How much does the old man want? Netero said solemnly. The same goes for me, the president will give me twice as much. Potter Bai also stood up and assured Chi-Ya. Get out. No, Chi-Ya gave the two of them a hard look and threw out a few words. Good guy, they are all coveting my treasures, and there is no door. Haha, you guys are so interesting. Seeing the behavior of the two old men, Jin burst out laughing. Afterwards, he turned into a flash of lightning and began to strike. Seeing this, Chi-Ya also flashed his figure, and started to attack in coordination with Jin. Boom. The sky thundered. The terrifying thunderbolts continuously exploded on the body of the guardian god, and huge gaps appeared continuously on the body of the guardian god, and the thunderbolts were quickly destroyed, wreaking havoc. But the patron saint, who had no tendency to attack just now, was constantly waving tree roots and branches, manipulating burning leaves to attack Chi-Ya and Jin, trying to destroy them. Because, at this time, the ray of lightning in the core of the guardian god responded to Jin and Chi-Ya's attack again and began to destroy it. For this point, the patron saint can't do anything to that trace of lightning. He can't extract this trace of lightning, at least not in a short period of time. And if this continues, the only remaining core of oneself will be destroyed sooner or later. The only way to keep his core from being destroyed was to kill Chi-Ya and Jin outside, so that he would no longer be attacked by thunder. However, he couldn't do it at all. The huge body would have been an easy target. Coupled with the fact that Netero and Potter Bai were desperately protecting Jin and Chi-Ya, the patron saint's attack could not enter within 20 meters of Jin and Chi-Ya at all, and was blocked by Netero and Potter Bai. Damn, hateful bastard, let me die, especially you boy. Even if I die, I will kill you completely. The attack could not fall on Jin and Chi-Ya. Guardian God Fury with a moderate fever, she has completely lost her composure, and keeps roaring and roaring, like a street shrew. Do you think you can kill the old man with your attacks? Wishful thinking. Even if the old man stands still, you can't kill the old man. The weakness of you humans is that your thoughts are not strong, and you will soon become weak. Even if I can't touch you too, I can wait for you to become weak. As long as I endure the pain, none of you will be able to run away. The continuous destruction of the core made the guardian god extremely painful. Attacking Chi-Ya and Jin, the constant loud threat clamored. But the attacks were blocked by Netero and Potter Bai with all their might. But Chi-Ya and Jin didn't take this guy's threats to heart at all. Instead, they attacked each time stronger and more terrifying, constantly destroying its body. But at this time, Chi-Ya, who was attacking with Jin, had a strange expression on his face. It's a strange feeling. There seems to be something in this guy's body, which is related to me. Chi-Ya thought with a strange expression. Something about me is in this guy's body. It seems that I haven't fought against this guy before, right? While the constant attacks drove Thunder to carry out the bombing, Chi-Ya also began to meditate. The only possibility is that Lava Titan. Jin said that Lava Titan is another core of this monster, and I can feel that there is something related to me in it, so there is only that Lava Titan. No, I have to feel this weak connection. Thinking of this, Chi-Ya stopped attacking and took a few steps back. Chi-Ya, what's the matter? Jin noticed that Chi-Ya had stopped, and suddenly asked strangely. When he spoke, the attack in his hand was still incessant. This fellow Jin's power in the super speed state is comparable to Chi-Ya's. Although this guy didn't strengthen the transforming chi several times like Chi-Ya, his power is still very terrifying. Because the Nyan chi in this guy's body is too huge, and his display capacity is higher than that of Chi-Ya, and the attack he can unleash is very strong. Quantitative change leads to qualitative change. Moreover, thunder and lightning will destroy the defects of the body because the relationship between the Millennium Stone milk has disappeared. This is also the reason why his speed can be compared with that of. Leave me alone, keep going. I seem to have captured important information that can destroy this guy. Give me some time to perceive it. Chi-Ya shook his head, replied, then closed his eyes, and began to follow the information that appeared in his mind. The slightest connection felt. I see. Jin Wenyan frowned slightly, then nodded. In this situation, he knew that Chi-Ya would not act willfully. Since Chi-Ya said so, the possibility is absolutely high. The power of Jin's attack is still gradually rising, and it has begun to surpass the power of Chi-Ya's thunder. I don't know how huge this guy's potential capacity is, and how high the upper limit of his manifest capacity is. However, it is estimated that there are more than double Chi-Ya. The clamor of Patron Saint is still going on. Time passed slowly, and half an hour passed in a blink of an eye. It seemed that it could not threaten Jin and Netero at all, and the roar of the Patron Saint had gradually weakened. He knew that his threat would not work at all, so he began to beg for mercy. Damn guy, bastard, stop this old man. This old man will definitely tear your corpses into 10,000 pieces and devour you to death. Don't continue to fight. The old man promises you, as long as you stop, the old man will go back to the Dark Continent immediately, and never set foot here again. Your mental energy is about to run out. If you continue, it's not certain who will win the battle. that guardian god, has been begging for mercy from the very beginning of the caller threat. However, Jin and Netero ignored them at all and were still defending and attacking. Regarding this guy's words, Netero and Jin were a little moved. Because according to the current situation, it would take several hours for them to completely wipe out the patron saint. Although judging from the situation of this guy begging for mercy, this guy's situation is very bad. However, the thoughts in their bodies have also been consumed a lot. The huge energy of the Millennium Stone milk in the body is about to bottom out. It is estimated that in another hour, their thoughts will be exhausted. Moreover, judging from Chi-Ya's previous appearance, it is estimated that there are not many such treasures, and it is very likely that they cannot support them to continue fighting. In this case, the words of the guardian god are quite correct. If they continue to fight, it is very likely that both sides will suffer. No, it may not even be that they are killed by the guardian god. However, even if they are tempted, they will not agree to the guardian god's begging for mercy. Because, knowing this guy's cruelty, Jin and the others didn't believe a word of this guy's words. They won't believe what this guy says. I wouldn't believe this guy's oath, until the next sentence of the patron saint came out. Jin and the others were completely moved. The old man can use his life to swear by oath and restriction. As long as you let the old man go, the old man will leave this continent immediately and never set foot in this place. Oaths and constraints are the ability to make rules and obey them, and can double the nen of nen people. If the normal nen is compared to addition, then the nen that follows the rules is multiplication, and the power will be multiplied. In addition, the oath and restriction can also be used in other ways, such as the guardian god, said to abide by the agreement and never violate it, at the expense of something. Once the rules are made, then you must act in accordance with the rules. Once a breach turns back into a penalty, something is lost. In the original book, both Kurapika and Gon used this, but they used it to increase the power of nen. And once they default, they lose nen back. Gon was rescued after using the oath to force growth, but he also lost nen. And if the guardian god uses life to swear, once it breaks the contract, it will be backlashed immediately and lose its life. This is why Jin and the others are completely moved. If this guy really goes back to the Dark Continent, then they don't have to continue to take risks. There is only one life, and they are definitely happy to solve problems without danger. Seeing that Jin and the others were moved, the guardian god hurriedly continued. I promise, I absolutely promise. You also know the rules of oath and restriction. Once I swear with my life, then I must abide by it, otherwise I will die instantly. Okay, then you can swear now. Jin stopped the attack and said solemnly. Okay, I swear now, said the Patronus hastily, and then said, I swear here, as long as. The patron saint reacted very quickly, fearing that Jin and the others would return. The oath he made was a two-way oath. Although the big head was on him, Jin and the others would also be bound at the same time. Because once this oath is made, he will go back to the Dark Continent. Jin and the others cannot attack him. However, before his oath was initiated, a sudden change occurred. A thunderbolt blasted out from behind Jin, and a huge thunder column with a diameter of 50 meters rushed past Jin and hit the patron saint. Ah! Chi-Ya! What are you doing? Seeing the sudden appearance of thunder, Jin and Nit were all shocked, and they all looked at Chi-Ya behind. Jin frowned and asked. The situation just now can be said to be the most perfect ending of this battle. As long as this monster makes a vow and restriction, then this matter can be over. This monster will never be able to threaten their world. But I didn't expect that at the critical moment, Chi-Ya would come up with such a move. What is Chi-Ya trying to do? Although there is no complaint against Chi-Ya's behavior, they still want to know what Chi-Ya thinks. Damn it, you forced this old man. Since you don't want a peaceful solution and want to push this old man into a desperate situation, then don't blame this old man. Jin's inquiry has just been sent, and Chi-Ya hasn't answered yet. An angry roar came over. Immediately afterwards, a terrifying, violent, and chaotic force erupted from the patron saint. Jin and the others were almost blown away by this terrifying momentum. You die with this old man. The terrifying aura continued to erupt, and the guardian god roared. No, this guy wants to blow his core. The well-informed Netero immediately saw what the guardian god wanted to do, and his expression changed drastically. Chi-Ya, hurry up and use your space ability to take us away. Netero yelled at Chi-Ya, and at the same time, the two rushed towards Chi-Ya. But Chi-Ya didn't have this idea at all. Looking at the guardian god, who was gathering thoughts and self-destructing, a disdainful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Do you think you can fool me like this? Old monster. What are you talking about, hateful boy? This time it was still roaring, but Chi-Ya could clearly hear the guilty conscience in the words of the guardian god. No, This guy doesn't look like he's about to blow himself up. This guy is cheating us. This guy Jin has a very good brain, and he immediately heard some clues from the conversation between Chi Ya and the guardian god, could not help shouting out. Damn it, you actually saw it. The patron saint roared angrily. That's right. This guy didn't want to blow himself up at all. The reason why he condensed his thoughts and energy to create the imaginary that he was about to blow himself up was to deceive Chi Ya and the others. He had seen before that Chi Ya had the ability to teleport through space, so he was going to use the guise of self-destruct to deceive Chi Ya and others, and let Chi Ya and others use space teleportation to leave. The reason why Chi Ya can see it is because he has connected to the thunder that remains in the core of the lava titan and has not disappeared, so he can perceive the condition of the core of the lava in the body of the guardian god. Although the guardian god looks like I'm going to explode myself, it just gathers all the energy in its body together to make a show. The lava core in its body has no tendency to riot or self-destruct core at all. Ah, I can see that Ginger is still old and hot. If I hadn't had special means, we would have been cheated by you. Once we leave, it would be impossible to find you again. Chi Ya said with a sneer. The thunderbolts in both hands were released again, and the terrifying breath began to rise. Wait, Chi Ya, what are you going to do? Jin asked quickly. In this situation, they have the upper hand. Although Chi Ya attacked this monster just now, the oath and restriction must still be able to continue. As long as this guy makes a vow and restriction, then the matter can be solved perfectly. There is no need to fight to the death. If it continues, this guy may really be cornered, and the self-destruct just now is no joke. This guy has lived for so long, with such a strong body, the cold air in his body is terrifying. Once it explodes along with the core, even if Chi Ya has the ability to teleport, it is not foolproof. No one can guarantee that once such a terrifying thought energy erupts, there will be no problems in the space here. At that time, even if there is a space ability, there will be a very big risk. Jin. Transmit your thought energy into my body. Facing Jin's inquiry, Chi Ya did not answer. The thunder in both hands became more and more terrifying. The aura of destruction continued to rise and spread, and even Jin faintly felt its danger. Jin was stunned for a moment, didn't speak, but looked at Chi Ya in puzzlement. Chi Ya. What on earth are you thinking? At this time, Netero and Potterby also came here. Netero looked at Chi Ya, puzzled and said. Of course I completely wiped this guy out here. It just so happened that the two of you also came and transmitted your energy to me, and I will kill this guy at once. Smile, said. Chi Ya didn't say how he planned to destroy this monster. Because, if you say it, the monster will be on guard. Moreover, this method, even I feel incredible, but it is indeed feasible. Looking at the unbelieving eyes of the three, Chi Ya's eyes became serious, and looked at the three and said solemnly. Believe me, I can definitely kill this guy. Since you really won't let this old man go, then let this old man keep you here completely, and you can die here with this old man. It's not a bad thing for this old man to be able to drag you to be buried with me. Chi Ya's words, the patron saint, naturally heard it, and the aura that had dissipated rose again. It can be seen that Chi Ya is not going to let him go, and wants to kill him here. Since that's the case, I'm not a coward, let's take it. As soon as the words fell, the terrifying momentum became violent and chaotic again. The extremely terrifying Nengji broke out again. It seems that there is no other way. I can only trust you, Chi Ya. Seeing this scene, Netero sighed slightly and said. Hey, I'll just trust you this time. I'll lose my life at worst. Potterby also saw that the matter was irreversible, so he could only trust Chi Ya. He didn't complain about Chi Ya. His life would have been gone long ago if Chi Ya hadn't rescued him. Since Chi Ya wants to be self-willed for a while, let's accompany Chi Ya to be self-willed once. Even if they die here, the self-destructing Patronus will not be able to survive. The mission they came here this time has basically been completed, so there is no need to worry that this guy will appear in human society and endanger the safety of human society. What is this, Chi Ya? You can't do anything later, you have to use your space ability as soon as possible. Jin scratched his head, muttered something in a low voice, and then put one hand on Chi Ya on the shoulders. The terrifying thoughts quickly poured into Chi Ya's body. Chi Ya's whole body was shaken, and the thunder exploded in an instant, and the terrifying thought energy continuously condensed in Chi Ya's hands. The two Neteros sighed again, and then put their hands on Chi Ya's shoulders, and the thoughts flowed into Chi Ya's body continuously. The corner of Chi Ya's mouth curled slightly, and he said, "Thank you." The next moment, Chi Ya's eyes burst into a shock, and a circular black hole appeared in front of Chi Ya, and a strange breath spread out from the black hole in an instant. Feeling this breath, both Kim and the patron saint were shocked. This is... Don't even think about it, the patron saint roared. However, John ignored it and stretched his hands in with an indifferent expression. Boom. The horrific shriek of the patron saint resounded through the sky, and the huge tree body was thundered and destroyed wantonly. The original terrifying atmosphere completely disappeared at this moment. Chi-Ya's hands are still inserted into the created space black hole. This is Chi-Ya's ability after upgrading Space Nen. The space black hole is able to create the tunnel between the 2 points, or, the 2 starting points are connected together. On the other side of the black hole in space is no other place, but the location of the lava core of the Guardian. And Chi-Ya's hands are now placed in the lava core. Chi-Ya uses the trace of thunder remaining in the lava core to make a space imprint, so that he can create a black hole connected to the core, and a source of terrifying destructive thunder constantly destroying this huge lava core. The lava titan summoned back by the patron saint is extremely fragile after becoming the core. Even a trace of thunder left by Chi-Ya can damage it. It is precisely for this reason that Chi-Ya disregards Jin and his group's wishes and forcibly destroys the patron saint. If it is the original lava titan, it is very difficult to eliminate it. However, the lava titan that became the 19th core is completely different from before, at least hundreds of times weaker. I see, Chi-Ya, you did a great job, Jin said excitedly with a smile on his face. I didn't expect it to be like this, Chi-Ya, as expected, I believe you were right. Netero also saw the current situation clearly at this time, and also understood why Chi-Ya was so sure. This old man has never admired anyone except the president in his life. Chi-Ya, you are the second. Potter also said, looking at Chi-Ya as full of amazement. I'm overwhelmed, Chi-Ya said with a light smile. As the dust settled, the thunder from Chi-Ya's body continuously released, ravaged the lava core. The patron saint's roar continued to be heard, but it gradually weakened with the passage of time, until it finally disappeared completely. After 5 minutes, the roar of the patron saint completely disappeared. The lava core was completely destroyed under Chi-Ya's thunder. The huge tree body was scorched black, and black smoke blew up. In the perception of Chi-Ya and others, the breath of life of the guardian god completely disappeared. The old monster who had survived for more than 2,000 years and came here from the Dark Continent, who was scheming and almost plotted against Netero and others, finally fell here at this moment. With the fall of this monster, Jin and the others were relieved, and sat down on the branches one after another, all with tired faces. This time they were exhausted. After more than 2 hours of continuous high-intensity fighting and high-intensity energy output, their bodies are already close to their limits. Even if there is the 1,000-year stone milk given by Chi-Ya, which can replenish the energy in the body, there is no way to restore the spirit. After this relaxation, the brains of the 3 people buzzed continuously, as if hundreds of flies were constantly harassing the heads of several people. Chi-Ya also leaned back and fell directly on the huge branch, with a faint smile on his face. Then he turned his head to look at the ancient Netero. Hey, old man Netero, my mission has been completed, Chi-Ya said with a light smile. Netero, who was resting, was startled when he heard this. Jin and Potter Bai also looked over in surprise. However, he didn't care at all and stared at Netero. Netero slowed down for a moment, with a kind smile on his face. Ah, your mission has not failed, it is completed, Chi-Ya Zoldyck. That's good. Chi-Ya nodded upon hearing that, then closed her eyes contentedly, and began to rest. For 5 minutes, Chi-Ya can be said to be the hardest. In order to ensure that the lava core can be completely destroyed, Chi-Ya continuously released more than 20,000 displayed energy. Allowing other people's thought energy to enter the body coupled with high-intensity thought energy release, even with his body, it is somewhat unbearable. It seems to have calmed down inside. What's going on? On the rocky basin, Crook and the others were still standing on the rock pillars, watching the battle in the ruins. The movement in the ruins disappeared for several minutes, and there was no movement. It sounded, and Chen Luke and others couldn't help but worry about the situation inside. President, are they all right? Yinda said in a naive manner with a worried face. Chi-Ya. Menchi also showed worry and anxiety. Let me go in and take a look. Crook pondered for a while, then said. Are you okay, Crook? Don't forget, you can't resist that monster's spirit Nen. Yinda worried. It's okay, I'll pay attention, I won't get close to that monster's domain, watch from a distance, I have this. Crook said lightly, holding a telescope in his hand. I'll leave it to you here. After speaking, Crook flapped his wings and flew out. Well, good. Yinda nodded and responded. Wait, I'll go too. Seeing this, Menchi wanted to follow, but was stopped by Yinda. You don't want to go there. Yinda's words are fine, but if you go, you will be a burden among the burdens. Besides, you can't even enter the ruins. Yinda said, pointing to the black-red magma flowing slowly on the ground. This girl's nen is so weak, it can't support her to enter the ruins. Menchi froze for a moment, then nodded in disappointment, walked to the rock wall and sat down, with his hands on his knees and stopped talking. Seeing this, Yinda didn't understand what happened to Menchi and scratched his head foolishly. What's wrong with this little girl? Yinda thought, puzzled, and then used the light to put it on the relic canyon again, staring seriously. Time passed slowly, and soon, half an hour passed. When Yinda felt something was wrong in his heart, a few figures suddenly appeared out of the ruins canyon. I saw Netero, Potter Bai and Jin walking out supporting each other. And Crook flew beside them, holding a slender figure in his hands. Yinda's eyes lit up immediately, and he rushed out. The huge movement alarmed Menchi immediately. Menchi stood up quickly, and jumped over after seeing the figures of the crowd. With both feet wrapped around Jian, he followed quickly. Chiya, are you okay? When rushing in front of several people, Menchi suddenly came to Crook's side, snatched Chiya from Crook's hand, worried asked. However, her concerns were not answered. He fell asleep. Crook, who was robbed, said lightly. Oh, Chiya, is he okay? Menchi said blankly. Don't worry, little girl, this kid is fine, Netero said with a smile. However, this kid is very lucky. Netero looked at Menchi, then at Crook, and said with a little deep meaning. Old man, I am so old, and someone will not come to help me, Netero said meaningfully. Crook at the side blushed immediately, and then gave Netero a vicious look. Old guy, the scourge has lived for thousands of years, do you think you need it? Throwing down a sentence viciously, Crook flew forward. Menchi on the side looked thoughtfully at Crook, who was leaving. Then he also carried the sleeping Chiya and chased in the direction where Crook flew away. This kid, luck is really good. When the golden flower of the 12 earthly branches saw us, they didn't pay attention to us. Instead, they rushed over to this kid immediately. Jin also said with a teasing face. Well, this kid's old lady approves of him. If Crook is always with this kid, he will raise his hands in approval, but it will probably take about 10 years. Potter, with a serious face, also answered a sentence rarely. Yinda. What are these guys talking about? Slowly opened his eyes, Chiya covered his forehead with one hand. How long have I been asleep? A thought flashed in Chiya's mind. When killing that monster before, Chiya's body was consumed so much that he fell asleep directly while resting. Sitting up from the bed, Chiya immediately noticed the figure lying prone beside the bed. Menchi. Why is this guy here? Chiya thought strangely. The figure was none other than Menchi. Getting up from the bed, Chiya carefully carried Menchi up and covered her with the quilt. This guy Menchi was too deep in sleep to be picked up without knowing it. In other words, Chiya's movements were so gentle that even Menchi, the hunter, couldn't be woken up. After placing Menchi, Chiya came to the window and looked out of the window. It is now evening, and the room where Chiya is located is more than 30 floors high, and from such a high place, you can just see the fire clouds caused by the volcanic groups on the Kakeli ruins. After a moment of silence, Chiya shook his head slightly, and then sank his mind into his mind. Name. Chiya Zoldyck ability. Nen. Conjurer Nen speed. Thunder. 10,000. Traits Nen space operation. 10,000. Manipulator Nen ring of angels archangel's breath. 5,000. Enhancer Nen. 10,000. Emitter Nen field of mind. 10,000. Note. The number of reinforcement points required for the next reinforcement is in brackets. Deputy ability. Cuisine. Advanced cuisine. 500. Archaeology. Archaeology expert. 5,000. Note. In brackets are the enhancement points required for the next enhancement. Strengthening points. 10,332 item. Aluminum alloy yo-yo, one piece. 10,000 strengthening points. This is what Chiya got after killing the guardian god of the ruins. If it wasn't for the system's prompt, Chiya couldn't be sure that he had killed the guardian at that time. After all, it is an old monster that has lived for thousands of years, and Chiya can't guarantee whether it will have a follower. However, since the system has given prompts, it means that this old monster was really killed by himself. Hey, this trip has caused so many troubles, it's really troublesome enough. After reading his own attribute panel, Chiya felt inexplicably emotional. The purpose of my coming out this time was just to kill monsters, but I didn't expect to involve the creatures of the Dark Continent. And he's such a scary guy. If it weren't for this time, it happened that the monster put its core outside. And this core was injured by himself again, and there was a weakness of fear of thunder and lightning. It was really impossible for them to destroy this guy. Even if you can only escape, if you don't escape, you will die in the ruins. Having lived for thousands of years, this monster is too powerful. This strength lies in the huge size of his body, the huge mind energy and special spirit Nen condensed in thousands of years, and its dual cores that are different from other monsters. Even if Jin, Netero, and Potterby join forces, with Chi-Ya's help except Nen, they are still not this guy's match when they run out of energy. However, when it comes to the core of this monster, Chi-Ya feels very speechless. Since it is the core, why put it outside? Isn't this courting death? Once destroyed, the core is gone. Or, the mind of this monster is the 3 caves of the cunning rabbit. Once the core is destroyed, immediately recall another core, one more life? If it is true, then this monster is really scheming, and has even made a way to deal with this unwarranted crisis. It's a pity that this approach is a bit silly, probably out of my mind. If it were Chi-Ya, Chi-Ya would definitely hide the core of the lava titan, never expose it, and get it out when needed. Instead of using the lava titan to count against Netero them, expose the lava titan to Netero's eyes. Or rather, this monster is too confident in himself. Thinking to this point, Chi-Ya shook his head with a slight sigh. If this guy hadn't been too confident and exposed his other core, he wouldn't have suffered today's disaster at all. Arrogance and arrogance are really undesirable, one of the 7 deadly sins. Chi-Ya, you're finally awake. At this moment, Chi-Ya felt 2 soft lumps on his head, and then he was hugged by a soft body. Chi-Ya's eyelids twitched suddenly, expressionless. I said, "You bastard, give me enough time." Then, a cross appeared on Chi-Ya's forehead again, and his face became unhappy. As soon as she turned around, Chi-Ya directly stretched out her hands, and began to pinch the gatekeeper's tender face that had just recovered. However, this time, Menchi did not resist, but looked at Chi-Ya with an ugly smile. This made Chi-Ya stunned for a moment, and also let go of her hand. "What's wrong with you?" Chi-Ya asked strangely. This guy suddenly played out of the ordinary. If it were the same as before, he would definitely sleep for a while. "It's okay, Chi-Ya, as long as you're okay," Menchi said with a smile. Chi-Ya fell silent for a moment. Chi-Ya could hear this guy's strong concern for him. In the sentence just now, Menchi seemed to have unloaded something in his words. It seemed to be worried. "Be happy that you are safe and well. This guy really is. Menchi, what the Zoldyck family needs is a strong man, and your strength is not enough." After a moment of silence, Chi-Ya suddenly spoke. Menchi, who was smiling, was startled for a moment. The smile gradually disappeared, and he became silent. Chi-Ya didn't continue to speak, just looked at the silent Menchi quietly. "Chi-Ya, I know, I will become stronger." After a few minutes of silence, Menchi raised his head, squeezed out a smile, and said to Sun seriously. "I'll come back to you when the time comes," Menchi said, turned around and walked outside. "Wait, this is for you." Chi-Ya called Menchi to stop, and then threw a big bottle over. Hearing this, Menchi felt something approaching behind him, turned around and reached out to catch it. "This is?" Menchi wondered. "For you to become stronger, the contents in it can strengthen your physique and supplement your consumption. However, you can't drink too much at one time. Just 1 drop at a time during exercise. I hope you will reach your goals soon and come to me," Chi-Ya explained with a faint smile on her face. When Menchi heard this, his eyes lit up slightly, then his smile hung up again, and he nodded heavily to Chi-Ya. "Don't worry, I will find you as soon as possible," Menchi said with a smile, and walked out quickly after speaking. Looking at the closed door, Chi-Ya touched her chin, tilted her head, and fell silent. After a long time, Chi-Ya spoke slowly. "Am I being eaten young grass?" After thinking for a while, Chi-Ya came to a conclusion. "Totally not. Although I look very young now, and my heart is also restricted by age. But I have memories from my previous life. The sum of the 2 lifetimes is more than 30 years old, so there is no such thing as young grass being eaten. It's better to say that it's me who eats the tender grass. Also, looking at Menchi's attitude, he doesn't treat me like a child at all. No one would be tempted by a child, unless it's a Shotokan," Chi-Ya flatly complained. "Very good, coming here this time is considered a consummation of merit and virtue. Not only have I acquired a lot of wealth, but my strength has also been greatly improved. I have also obtained a strong fire attribute resistance, and there are more than 100,000 reinforcement points, which is enough to make my strength once again stretched. And there are treasures such as the heart of lava and the 1,000-year-old stone milk. This time it is really full. There are enough materials for cultivating subordinate forces." Chi-Ya took stock of the harvest this time. "I don't know to what extent my current strength has reached, but I guess it should be comparable to my father. With such strength at such a young age, I can be considered the first person in ancient times." Chi-Ya smiled confidently. "It's getting closer to my goal. Okay, since the matter has ended perfectly, let's go back. However, Let's say goodbye to Jin and the others before going back. Has fought side by side anyway. I just don't know if they are still here. Muttering silently, Chi-Ya left the room. Originally, she wanted to go to Jin and the others, but she didn't expect that not long after she left, Chi-Ya ran into Jin, who came to see her. Yo, Chi-Ya kid, you're awake. Jin was still dressed in sloppy clothes, a pair of trousers, a vest, and the stubble on his face was extremely messy, but his mental outlook was quite good. You bastard, you recovered so quickly. Chi-Ya raised his eyebrows. Ah, that's not a matter of course. It's been 2 days already. Jin Wenyan said with a strange expression on his face. That's right, it's been 2 days. Chi-Ya was stunned, and said in a daze, she had slept for so long. The next moment, a long thunderclap came from Chi-Ya's stomach. Chi-Ya blankly covered her abdomen. Haha, let's go and fill your stomach first. Jin laughed loudly, grabbed Chi-Ya's hand and walked forward. Haha, your appetite is so big, it's comparable to mine. In a private room, Jin watched Chi-Ya devouring, patted his thigh and laughed. The dining table was already full of empty pots, and the waiter had come to collect them several times, but there were still so many pots on the table. 80% full. Chi-Ya ignored Jin's big laugh, and continued to sweep wildly. After another half an hour, he finally stopped. During this time, the waiters of the hotel came back and forth several times. A person with a strong physique needs a huge amount of nutrients. Chi-Ya's body is very slender, but it can quickly digest these foods and turn the food into its own nutrients. Even if Chi-Ya eats food that is several times larger than her body, she won't have any problems. Speaking of which, I have a child who is the same age as you, and it would be great if he had the same appetite as you. Jin propped his chin with one hand and said with a smile. Hearing this, Chi-Ya was taken aback for a moment, and then his expression became strange. Your son? The troublemaker? Chi-Ya thought of her original fate, trembled all over, and shook her head violently. I don't want to go with this guy. Hey, Chi-Ya, my son will also walk on the path of our hunter in the future. If you meet him at that time, please take care of him, Jin said with a smile. Hunter? What are you talking about? I'm not a hunter, I'm a professional killer. Chi-Ya rolled her eyes and said contemptuously. Ah, I forgot about this. The old man Netero said that in order to express his gratitude to you this time, he specially arranged a professional hunter status for you. No, this is your hunter license. He took out a card and threw it towards Chi-Ya. With this hunter license, many things can be done, and the benefits are very good, Jin continued. However, it doesn't seem to be of much use. First he praised, but the next moment Jin became disgusted. Holding the hunter license card, Chi-Ya looked at the head portrait on it with a strange expression. This million gold oil card that ordinary people may not be able to get after a lot of hard work, just let me get it. Hunter licenses have several characteristics. 1. Anti-counterfeiting treatment has been done. Counterfeit products cannot be reproduced through various counterfeit prevention processes. 2. You can enter prohibited areas with a hunter license. You can enter 90% of the countries that are generally prohibited from entering, and 75% of the restricted areas. 3. It can be used as a guarantee. The money from the sale can provide enough food and clothing for 7 generations of descendants, and it can also be used as a guarantee to borrow high-value loans. 4. Free use of public facilities. You can use 95% of the public facilities for free, and you can also use the computer webpage without spending a dime. 5. Cannot be reissued. 20% of those who pass the test will lose their license within 1 year, but will not be reissued. These are indeed very good benefits for ordinary people, but for Chi-Ya, they seem a bit tasteless. Oh, by the way, old man Netero and Chen asked me to say thank you on their behalf. Jin suddenly thought of something, and said to Chi-Ya. Are they not here anymore? Chi-Ya asked doubtfully upon hearing this. Well, I went to the V5 headquarters and reported this incident to those big shots. Kid Chi-Ya, this time you took such a big deal. I guess you will come into the sight of these big shots next time. There is no way to do this. There should be special Nen people over there who can investigate Netero and the others. Your identity cannot be concealed. However, in your capacity, I don't think it's a big deal. When you inherit the position of patriarch of your family, you will also come into their sight, and there is no difference. Hidden. Chi-Ya nodded, not surprised. Where's Crook? Chi-Ya suddenly thought of something and asked. She went to study the remains of the monster in the ruins. For her as a plant hunter, the remains of that monster are very important materials. I guess her strength will be greatly improved after she completes the research. Oh, by the way, that place is now hunted into a forbidden area. Only hunters with a hunter license can enter. Chi-Ya, If you want to go in, you only need to have a hunter license to enter. How about it? Do you want to go in and find Crook? Jin frowned slightly and said with a smirk. Forget it. Just ask. Facing Jin's appearance, Chi Ya glanced at him expressionlessly and said. What is this guy thinking? I have nothing to do with Crook. Okay, since we've already left, I'm going back too. Let's say goodbye here. Chi Ya stood up and said. Ready to leave after speaking. Hey, Chi Ya, are you sure you really don't want to be a relic hunter with me? It's very profitable. Jin shouted. Are you sure you want me to be the ruins hunter with you? How about? Let my dad and grandpa come and talk to you. Chi Ya turned around and asked with a strange expression. Forehead. No, Jin Wenyan. His face froze immediately. Thinking of Chi Ya's father and grandfather, he immediately dismissed the idea. Seeing this, Chi Ya showed a contemptuous look, and then left directly, leaving Jin sitting at the dining table with a dazed expression.